All right, I think I'm live now. How are y'all doing? It's been a little while since I did a reaction video, so I'm going to do one. And there's been a lot that came out in the last week that I've wanted to react to, including, oh, hang on, hearing myself back, including a lot of coverage of Ridgeland Farms, the Beagle breeder. And that's good to see. The media is actually starting to report on it. So we'll take a look at some of that. Let's start out with Mel and Steve, as we often do. Put out a new video. And we react to Mel and Steve a lot because they crank it out. Okay, let's see. Non-vegan doesn't want to know what happens to the boys. So I'm guessing this is going to have something to do with male chicks in the egg industry, but we'll see. Okay, let me post that there.
If she gives birth to a boy and the boys don't produce milk, what do you think they do with the boys?
Oh, dairy.
Probably don't want to know. Really good.
Yeah?
Really good.
Yeah. Do you think that's similar to like cow cheese?
Yes, totally.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really nice.
Great outreach.
Do you know much about the dairy industry?
Not really.
No, okay.
Not really.
Do you know why cows produce milk?
Because it's for their sons, daughter,
Their babies.
for their babies.
Yeah. Not many people know that. That's why I asked. And I was 26 before I knew that. Do you know how they impregnate
34.
the mothers in the dairy industry?
No idea.
But they get like held in a rack. The farmer puts his arm right inside of her like bum and injects her bull semen, makes her pregnant. How long do you think she carries her baby?
Still no idea.
So 9 months, like a human.
Like humans.
Yeah. And when she gives birth, if she gives birth to a boy and the boys don't produce milk, what do you think they?
And during that 9 months, you know, like similar to human mothers, you know, like they were sort of developing a bond with their baby that they're carrying during that time.
do with the boys?
Probably don't want to know. Better not to know.
Yeah. Do you currently pay for dairy?
No.
You vegan?
No, I'm not.
Do you buy cow's milk or cow's cheese? Yeah.
Yes.
This is why we're telling people, because good people are paying for bad things and they don't know. So like you said, you're like, I don't want to know because maybe you know the boys go to be killed. They have their throat slit a couple days old. And then the females, if she gives birth to a female, she then goes into that line of the dairy industry where she'll be raped, have baby after baby taken away from her. How many babies do you think she will lose or have taken, like kidnapped?
From 5 to 10.
About 5, yeah.
Okay.
And then, because about 5 years old, cows are considered like spent dairy cows because they're so exhausted they can't stand up anymore. They then put these on them. These are shackles. They do that because the cows can't stand up, and they try and exploit them for as long as possible, try and get as much milk from them. And then what do you think they do with the mum?
Get killed.
You know, yeah.
God, I wish they would just teach this in schools so activists didn't have to explain this to everybody. Seemingly smart people. You know, I was ignorant of this too until the age of 34. Just so sad that it comes down to Mel being in the street having to explain it.
It's her throat slit. Do you think anything that I just said?
Yo, Kane, how are you doing? I saw your event that you posted on Instagram the other day. Thanks for going out there and educating the public. That was great.
Can justify paying for dairy?
Yes, like actually I try to avoid as much as possible dairy products and meat generally.
Can I ask why is that?
Why? Because I think, first of all, it's not really good in terms of health,
Okay, so the health reasons.
in terms of also in terms of how animals are bred in
Yeah, yeah.
yes, in big industries and stuff. And
So
yes,
before today, am I right that you maybe didn't know much about the dairy industry?
yes, we have more information.
How you been doing, Kane? Did you get your move done? I know that must have been stressful.
Today than yesterday,
Yeah. Do you think education is key for change?
of course.
Yeah. So now that you now know, do you think you can ever find a justification to pay for dairy again?
Probably.
What would that be?
I don't know.
Would you want to put your money towards this industry that does this to baby animals and mothers?
Like to avoid that this happens.
Yeah. Would you rather avoid or rather pay into it?
No, I would avoid to.
You'd rather avoid?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. That's really cool. So, can I ask you, do you know what a vegan is?
Who a vegan is?
Yeah.
A person that does not eat any of these products, dairy products, and all things that derive from it.
Yes, yes, and any animals. So we don't eat any animals, don't use animals,
Okay.
don't wear animals. Do you know why vegans do that?
Are y'all able to like when I see stuff like that? I just have no idea. Is that real? Fake? I do not have the eye to determine what fur is real.
There are many personal reasons that are behind this choice.
Yeah. What?
But I'll say if I was a woman, I would not wear anything that even looks like that. Because I wouldn't even want people looking at me thinking I'm wearing fur. It's so shameful to wear fur.
What do you think the reason is?
I think for animals
Yeah,
and out there,
yeah.
animals of threat,
Can I
mainly.
Are you both against animal abuse?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you think there's ever any justification to kill animals?
Nowadays, no. Maybe in the past
Good
that it was necessary to survive, but today we have many alternatives.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. So then,
Like him.
knowing that you don't need to eat
Smart,
animals
honest.
now to survive, what would stop you from living vegan and not paying for it?
It is difficult. It's a difficult choice because dairy products and everything that derives from animals is basically everywhere. In what
Yeah.
we eat, in
What's up, Felix? How are you?
You're
so
right.
it's like part of our society that forces you to eat these things.
Okay, but now we live where we can get vegan options,
Yes.
so we're not forced to do it. Yes, there it is dairies in a lot of products, but as long as it says vegan, like great to do a vegan sausage roll and steak bacon things in there, it's easy for us now to move our hand. Would you agree?
Yes. Yes.
Even if it was a little bit more inconvenient, do you think it justifies animals being killed?
No. It doesn't.
Okay.
It doesn't.
Awesome. You guys seem really nice.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you this
You do.
leaflet. This is just what Viva has exposed. This is who we're with today. They've exposed these industries because what I told you is the tip of the iceberg. So check it out for yourself. And have you got YouTube? Recommend watching something called Dominion. I wish I saw it years ago because I would have changed faster. Like I don't know if you know about the egg industry.
No.
Do you know what happens to male chicks in the egg industry?
No.
They don't produce eggs, so do you want to have a guess?
Same as
They go into a blender alive. A blender, like a big macerator. Or they get put into a black bag and tied up and suffocated.
the stuff.
Yeah, just for an egg. And you think, oh my gosh, if I knew that, I would never pay for that. Because do you know why these industries are open?
Because we consume their products,
Yeah, we give them their money. So how are we going to shut them down?
not to using their products.
You got it. You got it. You got it. It's so nice talking to you both. So go home, watch Dominion on YouTube.
Great
It's
job, Mel.
like black and it's got a picture of a cow on the front. Really recommend you watching that because you both seem really nice. And
Thank you.
I wish I spoke to someone who told me this years ago.
Yeah,
So,
same.
thank you. Enjoy.
She's so great. Mel and Steve, two of the best. Two of the best. I'm going to help promote their even though there's only a few of us here right now, but they mentioned on one of their community posts that they were going to be going live on Friday at a slaughterhouse. And I'll just copy and paste what they said into this chat. So from Mel and Steve, it's so long, man. I don't know if that's going to post the whole message. How did that go? Oh, it posted as like many different messages. Interesting. Okay, well, anyway, they're promoting going live on Friday from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. UK time, I assume. And yeah, they've been getting a lot of traction going live, doing slaughterhouse demo and live streaming it. And they have a lot of trolls in the comments. So if you are someone who likes to go and battle with trolls or try to educate the trolls, help them out. Because there's a lot of ignorance in their streams, unfortunately, a lot. But it's also positive because that means that they're reaching people who don't know about this stuff. So, and then I'll just send the link to the video we just watched so you can go give it some love. I know you guys follow Mel and Steve already, but there's that. So great work, Mel and Steve, as usual. So I'm going to wait for some more people to get here before I start doing the Ridgeland stuff. But I do want to show y'all what's been going on with Ridgeland, especially if you don't live in the United States. Like, you might have missed some of the coverage that's been happening. And it's been a lot of coverage of Ridgeland. A local Fox station did this great story about Ridgeland Farms in Wisconsin. And then that got picked up by a bunch of other Fox stations around the country and got a lot of traction. So, all right, let me switch over. What should we watch next? Let's watch some more street activism with Vegan Heretic, who was in my last stream. The last time I streamed, Stephen Lee August was here. Great, really nice guy. He wrote the book Vegan versus the Versus. So he is able to do activism from a Christian perspective, which is very helpful. Especially like there's so many of us who don't come from that background and don't know how to talk to people from a religious perspective. So anyway, Stephen was doing some street outreach with Anonymous for the Voiceless, it looks like. And let's give it a look.
Questions about the videos, just ask us. That's what we're here for. Anybody with a mask? Hit me with it. I already know you.
No, you already know. Who really wants to know where the hamburger comes from?
No, they don't want to know. I know, but that's kind of why we're doing this. We think that people, I think people are basically really good people.
Yeah.
They want to do good. And if they were aware of all the suffering that animals go through just to become a burger, they might, it might give them cause to think. Because I ate this kind of stuff for over 45 years. And then I didn't know. I had no clue. I thought the cow ran around out on the farm, one day got a bullet in his head, and I was good with that. I'm like, okay, no big deal. But when I saw the years of pain and suffering and torment, the chemicals, the castrations, the burning, the growth hormones, all the things the animals, I can't do that.
And you know what's worse than this?
What's that?
The cosmetic industry.
It's pretty bad too. Big deal. But when I saw,
it just shows, you've got one person holding the screen, one person doing the outreach. I don't know how big this particular cube was, but you can make a real impact by yourself or with one other person.
The years of pain and suffering and torment, the chemicals, the castrations.
It's sad. When I started activism, I guess 7 years ago, I believe it was 7 years ago, we would have like 20 activists at our cubes every time. And this was like back before COVID. And then a lot happened. And now we don't really have cubes anymore where I live, which is sad.
Burning the growth hormones, all the things the animals, I can't do that.
And you know what's worse than this?
What's that?
The cosmetic industry.
It's pretty bad too.
Oh, hell yeah. How they take little rabbits and put the little drops in their eyes, you know, because
Yeah.
the rabbit's eye is the most closest to
It's big and they don't fight back as much. Them and beagles too. But
Beagles.
the point is, you don't have
We'll talk about beagles in a little bit, but yeah, that's one of the reasons why beagles are tested on, is because they're docile, they don't fight back, and they're forgiving. They should not forgive us for what we do to them, but beagles have a very kind temperament.
to do it, so why do we do it?
Well, one, we need protein. We need, as humans, I know
Yeah, go ahead.
I think the science is it. Nuts alone ain't gonna do it
For what?
for our protein. Now, truth, there's debate about the 4 food groups, right?
Yeah, there's debate.
Yes, there is.
Okay.
They're saying they need totally, you know,
Right.
our basic.
Oh yeah, on the 4 food groups. But by way of protein, and I dig that, yeah, we definitely have to have protein in our diet, but since all protein originates with plants, are you thinking we don't get protein from plants to eat them?
Well, yes, but mostly from, I forget the one universal name for it, nuts. Peanuts, you know, nuts.
You can get plant protein from spinach. You can get protein from broccoli. You can get protein from beans.
Yeah, always with protein, always with the protein. People always hung up on that. I don't think I ever had that belief. Like, I never thought you couldn't get protein as a vegan or vegetarian or anything. I don't know why so many people have that kind of conditioning.
Beans, nuts, legumes. You can get protein from, there's spaghetti made from lentils that you can, eat now. So there's really no need in the human diet. Even where do you think the cows get their protein from?
Now, don't get me wrong, right?
Yeah.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And I agree with what you're doing.
Thanks.
But for a second, let me play devil's advocate.
Go for it.
What about fish?
What about them?
Should they be in this too?
There is. Right now, what you're seeing is a loop of several different things. A lot of it is undercover footage on factory farms with cows, chickens, pigs, but there is a segment that will be coming up about factory farms and fish.
Well, let's talk about fish in the wild.
Okay. We're depleting the oceans.
Yes.
There's less and less fish.
Lobsters and all that.
So much of it's going away. But the question would, the question is, why do we even need to worry about it when there's no need in the human diet for fish whatsoever? Why is it? It doesn't matter if it comes from the ocean or a factory farm. Since we don't need to eat it, why are we killing anything at all?
Right. Now, I don't agree with pain and suffering.
Have y'all seen Seaspiracy? That's a great documentary about the fishing industry. There's also this one that a lot of people don't know about, but it's called Leviathan. And it's a really interesting documentary where there's no words spoken. And basically, they just hung up a bunch of cameras on ropes on this fishing vessel. And so you're just seeing this kind of stunning visual, artistic, look at a fishing vessel with the cameras like flowing in the wind, going up and down. It'll make you kind of seasick if you're queasy like that, because it's a lot of motion. But yeah, a lot of people don't know about that documentary. I had seen that long ago, long before I was vegan. And so it obviously didn't do the trick for me, but it was definitely a apocalyptic look at what we're doing to the oceans. Maybe I'll show a trailer for that. I don't know. It's kind of dark, but it actually inspired the tattoos I have, which is I have a bunch of albatross on my body, and it was kind of inspired by this scene from Leviathan where, you know, they're sort of dumping the fish carcasses into the ocean, and all these birds are just going nuts, you know, like it's like a feeding frenzy. It was partly inspired by that, partly inspired by this beautiful passage in Moby Dick. But yeah, check out Leviathan if you haven't seen it. Felix, the meat industry has been so successful equating animal products with protein. I can't stand having them ask me what my choice of protein is and expecting me to say beef, chicken, pork. Yeah, I know. Seriously, Felix. Yeah. I don't know. Like, it's so pervasive, isn't it? I feel like everybody's got to talk about it when they're doing outreach. We got to talk about protein, because it's always something that comes up.
Okay, you don't agree, pain, suffering, good.
No, of course.
No, that's why you stopped to watch, and that's why we agree.
It's outrageous. I agree. It's abhorrent.
Okay.
It is. But there's one universal reality.
Yeah.
That covers all of us here on planet Earth. Yes, we're the worst species here, right? But
Some would say that, yeah.
we are. We're killing the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
What do all
Well, let's
living
stop.
life forms on Earth do?
What do they all do?
Sentient.
Sentient creatures, yeah. What they have many similarities. Which one are you referring to?
The food chain. We all
Okay. We all eat.
now.
But now you did mention that we all have some things in common. One of the things we have that humans have, I think that we might excel in over other animals, is that we have moral agency. Now, as a moral agent, we have a choice. So we have a choice of getting food that comes from animal abuse or food that doesn't. Why choose animal abuse when you have a choice? You see, a lion doesn't have a choice.
Yes.
A tiger doesn't have a choice. A snake doesn't have a choice. Yeah.
If you emphasize that, your
Yeah.
movement will grow big time.
That's what I'm doing here every weekend.
It's funny because whenever they're outreaching somebody, that the person who's being outreached to is often thinking like, oh, now if you just did it this way, then your message is going to go far and wide. But right now, Steven's just talking to you, you know, and obviously making a video, so it is going far and wide. However, the focus right now is on you.
Thanks.
We do have a choice, right? This shit is outrageous. Right? We do have a choice. But if you come off, and a lot of people do, if you come off like, why are you eating meat, period? Why do you have any kind of leather?
Animal product, yeah.
That's just like me.
Oh, I got you, yeah. But that's still, the question is still there. And so.
Do we blame the Native Americans for my position?
No, I don't blame anybody for anything. I did it myself.
Originally animal skins. So, you know, it's very complicated.
Well, you know what? No, because I think you and I are in agreement there.
Yeah? This is clean cut. This is wrong. And look at this asshole. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
That's what happens. So if this is wrong, stop paying for it, because this is just what happens. It's not the worst of the worst. It's the standard.
This is wrong. You compared it to the Native Americans. If we're going back hundreds of years to the natives, I probably wouldn't even be having the conversation. Because, yeah, it's a matter of survival. But right now in the year 2019, it's not survival. You and I have a choice.
2019. Oh, this is an old one. 6 years ago. Recently posted, though.
So my choice is always compassion over violence. So that would be the question I would ask you. Why would you continuously choose violence when you have an option?
The only answer I can give is, how am I supposed to know the difference?
Oh, easy. Open up, look at the label.
Again, okay. I got something for that too. Again, I come back to my original question.
Yeah.
You say, look at the label. I'll modify it. Who wants to go through the trouble? I'm talking not for me.
Okay, yeah.
Majority of people.
It's not that hard to look at a label. That's one of the things that people also kind of hung up on, like it's going to be so hard to look at a label. There are some kind of cheats, you know, with the reading labels and stuff. Like most products, they have to post the allergens down below the ingredients, you know, so the allergens are going to include things like eggs, milk. So it's not like you have to read through every single thing. Now, I would, because I feel like they slip things in there sometimes. Happens all the time. Like, yeah, you have to be careful. But when when you've been vegan for a while, you get really adept at reading the labels. And a lot of times, I don't even buy a product if I don't see the word vegan on it, unless I'm like pretty sure. Yeah, we live in a world today where you can often find products that just straight up have the word vegan on it. It's pretty common. So I choose to support companies that are clear about that. But for instance, my edamame wasabi right here, nothing on this bag says vegan. Well, if you go to the ingredients, it says soybeans, sea salt, wasabi powder, wasabi oil, and dextrin. And then right below it says contains soy, because that's the allergen. Some people are allergic to soy, so they have to put the allergens. So all this is soybeans with a little bit of wasabi. Pretty easy, you know. And still waiting on that sponsorship. Come on, Sea Point Farms. You're getting the Jeremy bump. Come on, Sea Point.
To know where the hamburger came from.
All right, well, my thought would be to that is like,
You can't see or hear me? What happened? Hang on. You sure? I'm seeing me on my stream. Anybody else can confirm if they can hear me, see me? I think I'm still going. You sure, Kane? Maybe your stream is busted.
like, who wants to go through trouble? Who wants to know? If I knew that I was responsible for this, and that's why we're doing these demos, so that people become aware of what they go through.
Oh, thank you, UK Night Rider. How are you doing? Oh, okay. Appreciate you.
They will want to check the labels because, again, I think people are good. I think you're a good guy. I think everybody walking around here is probably decent, and they would not pay to do this if they knew better. Now, right now, I mean, you can go to the grocery store and watch this. Here's the difference. You got the milk here, and you got the almond milk, the rice milk, the hemp milk. There's so many. You can go like this and get the stuff that comes from suffering, or you can go like this and get the stuff that comes from plant. Why wouldn't you just do this? It's simple now. This is 2019. This isn't the Native Americans. So that's why we're trying to, like, if I can get this information into your mind, into his mind, into her mind, into that hot chick's mind right there, if I can get them all to think about this.
Who's the hot chick filming?
Okay, maybe they'll make a choice for compassion.
Maybe,
we're out here.
Maybe that's his partner.
We're
or
not asking for money. We don't do anything like that. We're just here trying to make people aware that their food choices have a victim. And if it has a victim, why not try and choose something that doesn't have something to hurt?
I'm going to say this to you.
That's right, man.
Take it in the spirit I'm giving it, right?
Hit me.
I'll speak for myself.
Yeah, please do.
I tried soy.
Okay, didn't like it? No big deal. Try hemp milk.
Yeah, so what? God, people become like babies, like little baby children when it comes to veganism. I tried this. I didn't like it. It's like a child, like, eat your vegetables. Jesus Christ. Like, you realize that's not the only product, right? You can try many different products and find the one that you like. I can't with these people.
Try rice milk. Try cashew milk. Try almond milk.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. This is not Native American. Again, hundreds of years ago, where you and I wouldn't have this discussion.
I understand. So you're saying, like, we have a choice.
Absolutely.
Compared to this unbelievable talent.
See, I love that you're calling it that, because you've made the connection. You know it's brutal.
Yeah, I know. But I'm not going to lie to you, right? I see it. I understand it.
It's hard to act on it, though.
And then say, like, maybe SoCal, maybe 2 days from now.
Yeah.
And I see some
2 days from now. What?
chicken nuggets. Wow. You know, see, we, all of us people, right? We can
Listen, guy, I love chicken nuggets. Now I get Impossible Nuggets. Now I get the Beyond Nuggets. They're good. They're so good. There's all these other kinds. We have chicken nuggets. We have perfected plant-based chicken nuggets. Perfected them. They're perfect. We don't need lab-grown meat. We've got the perfect products already. They are perfect. I used to eat them all the time when I was a meat eater. They are perfect.
we have and this is why the planet's dying now. We are how fucking, you know what I'm saying? We burn in the summer, we freeze in the winter. Why? Because I don't know, we stop driving cars when we already have the technology that we don't need fossil fuel. I get it. And the same with this. Climate change and this is the same thing.
This is a big cause of climate change, animal agriculture. Yeah.
Methane.
But also the destruction to the planet. You know, just to feed.
Really good to point this out because people really like to be dismissive about climate change because the way that the media has reported this, they talk about cow burps and cow farts, which just sounds like if you're just hearing that and you haven't really dove in, it's just something you can be so dismissive of, like cow burps, cow farts. Okay, I don't have time to worry about cow farts, you know? That's how the media reported this and made it so, they're so slimy about this because really what they should be reporting on is the loss of habitat, the destruction of forests, the water pollution, the use of fresh water, and then yes, the methane emissions. And it's just the media is like really complicit in this disinformation, this lack of information. The reason why so many people in our day-to-day lives are ignorant is a big fault of the media. And a big reason for that is the media themselves are ignorant and are lazy and don't do the research themselves. Because having worked in the media before, I will tell you that the defining characteristic of my coworkers throughout all those years was a lack of interest and laziness, a lack of curiosity. And I was complicit. I was similar in that in some ways. And I worked with some of the hardest working people as well. So there are really hardworking people, but when I say like hardworking, not to expand their own knowledge base and look at themselves and what am I doing wrong? What can I do better? That might sound like, I don't know. It's just, it's really frustrating because the public should not be this ignorant. And the public are this ignorant. That's why we have a lot of problems.
70, 60, 70 billion animals a year. We produce enough food to end world hunger, but we feed it to cattle so we can feed people. I mean, think about it. It takes this much grain for a cow to put on one hamburger worth of meat. You know how much grain this could feed? You, me, the rest of us vegans, we could eat for a week off what it takes, but maybe not a week.
I've learned to love so many foods since going vegan that I would have never bothered trying otherwise. Same, Felix. Yeah. And I also have limited patience for those complaints. Yeah, it's really annoying. I will give this guy credit for sticking in, hanging in and having the conversation. Like, that is already a big thing, to have the conversation, to come up, look at the screen, educate yourself a little bit, have a philosophical discussion with someone, a challenging discussion.
At least a day or two of what it takes to feed one hamburger to somebody. So the point is we could end world hunger, less problems to the environment, no suffering.
Because what we're seeing right here, all these people walking by, nothing wrong with, like, they're not doing anything wrong, obviously, but that's the majority. You're going to have most people just walking on.
Whatsoever, make the change. I did. Every one of these people here with the mask did. Millions of people around the world did. And I've only been healthier. I'm 58 years old, going on 59. I take no medications. All that stuff is gone. Arthritis, gone. Now, I'm not saying it's a wonder drug, but I'm just saying I've come around. I've done great. Come on, I'm getting you to think about it.
I am thinking.
Yes!
I am, of course. I be honest, I did.
Yeah, he's thinking about it, although his brain is kind of searching for reasons and excuses not to go vegan. That's kind of where he's at.
I'm not it. I know, but
Where I think like a lot of the actual self work happens after these conversations.
I'm gonna give you the coward's answer.
All right, coward's answer. What's that?
I'm just one guy, man. I can't fight you all alone.
You know what?
He says that, but my guess is that's just his reaction in the moment. He said it was hard to hear him, but he said, "I just don't got it," or something like that. Like, I'm going to give you the coward's answer, he said. At least he's saying that. That's the coward's answer. See, that's when you go back and you're thinking like, nah, am I a coward? Fuck no, I'm not a coward. Am I lazy? Am I callous? You know, no, I'm not those things, so I'm going to change.
Elvis was one guy. He changed the world, didn't he? See, but the point is, you're not just one guy. You're one guy in a large movement. When you join the people that aren't saying no to it, look at it this way. Dean, farms, the dairy, they are going out of business now because so many one persons quit buying cow milk. One of the largest dairies in the country filed bankruptcy because not enough people are buying their products. So yeah, maybe you alone, no, but you, with all of us together, we're making a bigger impact than we ever imagined.
And I would also, like, in these instances, I would kind of point out that you like, I think it's important to point out to people that the powers that be have designed it in a way for you to feel like you don't have power when you actually do have a great amount of power. And you know that you have power because they're spending boatloads of money to get your money. They wouldn't be spending that money if it didn't matter what you purchased. So yeah, you purchase food, presumably something like 3 times a day. Or you go to the grocery store and you get your groceries for weeks. But that is like your power. And they want that money from you. So you either give it to them and let them keep lying to you and have more money to lobby the government and make you feel even smaller and smaller and smaller until you feel like a speck that can't do anything. Like, we have to understand that we are powerful. And even in your just day-to-day life, you have a lot of power over your surroundings. So, yeah, they have been very successful at making people feel like they have no impact at all. And it's not true.
So
I hear you. I respect for the speed. Before I go, I'll leave you with this.
you leave.
Yo, what's up, Jeffrey? Nice to see you. Thanks for being here.
I'm always you're like a general overall strategy. Me, I'm sort of like this. Before I can really I'm trying to think of the right way to say it. Spread the word. This, I'm more of the kind of guy on the ground, like animal liberation. The animals that serve our pets that we do love, that are suffering.
Right.
You know, got nothing to do with our cats, dogs, or like that.
Really hard to hear them, but might have to go back.
That's, you know, I see a poor dog freeze in the wind.
That hurts.
It's of the animals.
Yep.
That's what I gotta give my stomach. I gotta give more credit.
All right. You bet, man. Be well. Thank you.
Well, kind of a wimpy way to finish for that guy. Steven did a great job, though. I feel like it was kind of a cop-out that he just gave himself. But he definitely was thinking. He was definitely thinking. It was interesting to me that he mentioned the words animal liberation. Yeah. I just don't think, like, in the general populace that phrase, even those 2 words, are really well known. That was nice. Great video. Let me link to that. Oh, wait. I got the wrong one. There we go. There we go. Vegan Heretic. Got another one of his. We'll watch that. Just waiting for people to get here before I talk about Ridgeland. Fucking Ridgeland. I tell you. All right. Let's see. This one's shorter, but let's take a look. People will eat ground up pig eyes, but not, yeah. So he was saying that last one was in 2019. And he posted that a few days ago. So maybe Steven's going through some of his old books. Yeah, I'm glad you got introduced to it. He's a great guy, and his book is great. Jeffrey, actually, you know about that one, Jeffrey? Because Jeffrey, you've been interested in Christianity and like veganism in Christianity. You've been talking about that. He's got that book, Vegan versus the Verses. It's really helpful.
If you want.
Oh, because if it's not clear, he advocates for animals from like a Christian perspective.
Well, let's get her to go vegan and quit hurting animals completely. Okay, your daughter's doing it. What's stopping you? Dude, we all like that at one time, but then we decided that we care about animals more, so we quit. Oh, come on, you will after a while. I didn't eat them much, but once I got into it. How's that? Have you ever had the vegan cookies? Like when it comes to vegan food, we've copied just about everything, and it's been great. Cheese, maybe not so much, but cookies and ice cream.
Hey, this is old. This is old. Cheese, we got that down. We got the cheese down. Yeah, we're good on cheese.
Much better, because you don't have all that saturated fat and cholesterol that just makes you feel like crud afterwards. But when it comes to like cookies and junk, oh yeah, we got that made. Go for yourself. Oh, come on, it's not.
Wow, look at how many people you got surrounding him right here. He's got this magnetism. You know, Steven, if you read his book, he talks about how he was like a juggler, like a famous, kind of like famous Vegas juggler. I think that's what he was saying. I need to reread. It's been a little while. I never finished the book, but it was a good book. I was getting distracted by life at the time, so I wasn't in the right headspace to read the book fully. But yeah, he has a very interesting past. Kind of like Jeffrey. He kind of had like a rock star life for a while. Kind of lived like a rock star. Yeah, you guys should meet. Jeffrey and Steven. Y'all should chat.
It's expensive. Okay, I don't even eat butter. This is stuff you don't have to have. But again, even if it was, if somebody said to me, okay, we're going to take an animal that's
maybe this was also before like we had the great Miyoko's oat milk butter, and you know, we've got it all. We have it all now. And you know, it makes me so happy too. Like my family has adopted it all. So when I go home and see them, I open the fridge and there's Miyoko's butter and there's, you know, like oat milk and there's like Daiya cheese and shit. And yeah, it makes me so happy. And that, I mean, obviously I'm an activist, but even not being an activist, I think I would have had some of those impacts just by being vegan and being an example.
Innocent, hang it upside down, and when it's begging for mercy and screaming in pain, I'm going to slit its throat, or you're going to spend an extra $1 for butter. I'm like, I'll spend the $1 on butter. I'm not an animal abuser. You see what I mean? So it's really a choice, and I don't think $1 extra is going to hurt you.
Good point.
Yeah, but look at what you'd be stopping and eliminating.
Yeah, just ask them, you know, let's say the vegan product was $1 more. Okay. And I have a chicken right here, or a pig, and a knife. And I said, okay, give me $1 and I won't kill the chicken or that pig. you would give him the dollar, you know? So that's the same thing that happens if you happen to be buying a vegan product that's more expensive. That's like $1 more. And we know that that's not always the case. A lot of vegan food is very cheap. In fact, the cheapest foods on the planet are things like rice, oats, beans. Sometimes when people are talking about veganism being so expensive, I kind of get the sense that they just haven't done much grocery shopping on their own.
No, I'm talking about you. I'll talk to her later. She's pushing me off on the daughter. Tell me why. What is it that's stopping you? I mean, the money isn't going to kill you because you're mentioning processed foods or things that you don't have to have. I pretty much like meat and potatoes. Really? So have you ever tried the meats and...
She said meat and potatoes. So first of all, potatoes are vegan. So you still have your potatoes. You replace the meat with some, plant-based meat, and you're good. What's the problem? Come on, lady.
First off, potatoes don't like them much. What is it about them you don't like? Okay, you will eat a ground up chicken, period. You'll take the pig and the butthole of a pig and eat that in a sausage. But a burger made from a plant tastes weird to you. Who's crazy? She's like, no, that plant stuff tastes weird. I want you to ground up some animals' eyeballs and hooves and shove it into a hot dog bun for me, because that's what we should be eating.
Also, just like so much of the taste of like a hot dog is the toppings. So you get like a hot dog that's just like similar tasting, put some ketchup or mustard or whatever on there, and I don't know, some relish or onions. You got you a hot dog that's going to taste exactly the same. Exactly the same. And again, we pretty much perfected these things. Like, so hot dogs, the Light Life hot dogs are pretty damn good. Yeah. I mean, I don't often have a hankering for hot dogs, but I've never been disappointed with vegan hot dogs, including long before I was vegan. I remember going into this place and ordering the vegan hot dogs, and I don't know why I did that. Maybe I thought it was better or something back in the day. And yeah, they were great.
Well, thanks for stopping by. I hope you give it some consideration next time you go shopping. Enjoy your night on Fremont, everybody. Thank you.
Nicely done, Steven. That was cool that he had such a crowd around him like that. Look at all those people. Yeah. And then, I mean, putting it up on YouTube, then he's expanded his reach even more. So, really well done. How are y'all doing? What should we do next? Maybe we'll go ahead and get into the Beagle stuff. So I want to highlight this. This was really kind of extraordinary. It's sad that I'm calling this extraordinary, but we don't often get TV channels to care. So here's one instance where it did. All right. Wisconsin puppy mill could face criminal charges. Fox 6 News, Milwaukee. So first, a big shout out to Fox 6 for doing this story. Let me change the screen here. And by the way, I'm going to... Wait, did I link to that last one? I don't think I did, but Vegan Heretic. Okay, this is... I'll just take it off the screen. This is Fox 6 here. All right. So here's a 9-minute story that aired, and they did multiple, and they're doing another one on Sunday, which is amazing. So before we even get started, I'll just say that this one I saw was shared on Facebook like thousands and thousands of times from the Fox Milwaukee station. Then Fox New York picked it up. Fox Vegas picked it up. Another one, Phoenix, I think. Maybe not Vegas, Phoenix. So anyway, I don't know how it works with these Fox stations, but one station did it and then others like picked it up around the country. At least 4 of them. New York, Phoenix, someone else.
Animal agriculture, animal cruelty. A special prosecutor will soon decide if criminal charges should be filed against the operators of Ridgeland Farms.
It's a massive dog breeding farm west of Madison. Fox 6 investigator Brian Polson joins us here in studio for a look beyond the barbed wire.
Yeah, guys, thousands of Beagle puppies born
Beyond the barbed wire. Like, listen to them. This is fantastic. This is what we've needed all this time. Let's hear that
at
again.
Ridgeland
For farm west of Madison. Fox 6 investigator Brian Polson joins us here in studio for a look beyond the barbed wire.
Yeah, guys, thousands of
That was, I bet he wrote that.
Beagle puppies born at Ridgeland Farms were never meant to live in a happy home like yours and mine. They were bred to be lab experiments. Animal rights groups have been targeting the commercial breeder for years. Now they're finding unlikely allies in Washington who want to put an end to painful experiments on man's best friend.
It doesn't take a scientist
You're such a good pup.
to see Maggie is living her
Claim to fame is she loves to climb trees.
She climbs trees?
Climbs trees.
Her sense of adventure
Whoa.
may be unique, but her heart is classic Beagle.
They're incredibly trusting, just really sweet dogs.
And that's why Van Artsen was shaken
I had no idea.
when she learned about this place.
People just don't know what's happening behind closed doors.
On a remote hillside west of Madison, Ridgeland Farms is one of the last large-scale operations in America that purpose breeds Beagle puppies for scientific experiments.
By the way, so Ridgeland Farms in Wisconsin, I believe it's about 3,000 beagles. The other company is called Marshall Bioresources, and they're in upstate New York, and I believe they have like 20,000, something like that. So all this attention right now on Ridgeland Farms, there's a bigger player as well. But if Ridgeland Farms goes, Marshall is all that's left.
From here along the road, we are about 500 feet away from the building that houses more than 3,000 beagles. And while the sound of barking dogs is faint, it is constant and unmistakable.
The farm is surrounded by barbed wire.
Even before you get close to the facility, you smell it.
But 8 years ago,
Who's that guy? You guys know that?
Wayne Chung got inside. He is a former Northwestern University law professor turned animal rights activist.
So loud, you literally cannot hear yourself talk.
And in 2017, he and 2 others entered one of Ridgeland's unlocked buildings in the middle of the night.
The lights never turn off.
To conduct what they call an open rescue.
But this poor puppy has never lived outside this cage.
Because it is an open rescue. Sarah, how are you? You're a new name. Nice to see you. Show this to everyone who has used the tired justification that it's okay since they were bred for that purpose. Yes. Agree. Bred for that purpose. Because they absolutely were. All right.
She's going around and around in circles because she has nothing to do all day.
They took 3 dogs.
She's going around.
An open rescue.
But this poor puppy has never lived outside this cage. She's going around and around in circles because she has nothing to do all day.
They took 3.
And by the way, that footage of the dog spinning and spinning has been really powerful. Yeah, people are very heartbroken to see that. And they made 2 videos. They also did a video about Julie, and we'll watch the one about Julie, who's one of the rescued beagles, who still to this day spins to the right, spins and spins and spins to the right. I've met Julie. She spins. And luckily it's, sometimes, out of like, excitedness or anxiousness or something, but it's crazy. She still spins to the right.
3 dogs then left and published the evidence online.
If the only way we can get any attention on what's happening inside Ridgeland Farms is for them to prosecute us, then we have to do that.
It took the Dane County District Attorney 4 years to charge the 3 activists with burglary and theft. But
Eva Hamer, Wayne Shung, Paul D. Picklesheimer. And just to show you guys like how lazy and incompetent they are, Eva was not even inside there. Nope, she was not. They just misidentified her.
Attorney 4 years to charge the 3 activists with burglary and theft. But last year, just 2 weeks before trial, Ridgeland asked the DA to drop all charges, citing unconfirmed death threats.
Yeah, they blamed death threats. So the morning that we were going to argue personhood for animals, Wayne was going to make this great argument that they had been working on for a long time. The morning that we were going to do that, I was awoken to, I think, Chris Caraway, the lawyer, yelling, "They dropped the charges." And nobody was celebrating because this was supposed to be the moment that the dogs got their day in court. I've told this story now many times, but I'll just repeat it, that we had still gone to court that day for the hearing. We were all suited up and everything. And I will never forget it. Like, Wayne just made this incredibly powerful, compelling argument, banging his fist on the table. This is something that we weren't allowed to film, so I don't know if anybody would ever see it, but it was just a really powerful moment. He said, "This must stop," banging his hand on the table. The assistant district attorney was there, kind of cowering, just looking down like this, no interest, and a look of kind of shame, in my opinion. The judge in this case appeared to be quite sympathetic to the argument and was listening to Wayne with pretty rapt attention. And unfortunately, they did have to drop the charges, or the judge did, because I guess his hands were tied at that point. They're dropping charges. But Wayne was in there to argue for the charges to not be dropped, even though he was facing, I think, max 16 years in prison for the rescue of Julie and the other Beagles.
Without the court case moving forward, there would be no opportunity to bring into a court of law, put into the formal record of the government of Wisconsin, that dogs were being abused.
So Shung and a group called Dane for Dogs turned the tables.
This is kind of a last gasp hope.
They petitioned the court to appoint a special prosecutor, this time to seek criminal charges against Ridgeland Farms.
And this was an incredible job. And I don't know if the lawyer, even though he's public, I don't know if he wants to be named, so I won't name, but it's just incredible work to do this petition. And this was very, this seemed like a long shot to people, like when this was happening, but due to the incredible work, it worked.
Your Honor, it was so hard to sit in that courtroom.
In a public hearing last fall, former employees testified.
I'll just say, since he's there right there.
Public hearing last.
Stephen Seitz put together that petition. Brilliant lawyer.
Fall, former employees testified.
I would hold them as tight as I could so they wouldn't wiggle around.
About participating in crude but routine surgeries to remove dogs' swollen eye glands.
Literally, all they did was take a tweezers, pull it out, and take the scissors and cut it.
Or to eliminate their ability to bark.
And then they would just reach down the throat with the scissors and just cut the vocal cords. And then just kind of throw it on the floor to be washed down the drain later.
Was anesthesia ever used in these procedures?
No.
Was there any blood control?
No.
Was there a lot of blood in these procedures?
Yes.
Last year, state inspectors found inadequate waste drainage at Ridgeland, undocumented injuries, and a failure to ensure the farm's 3,200 dogs get daily positive human contact.
They never step outside. They never get a chance to go on a walk. They never have a kind touch.
Ridgeland Farms did not respond to our request for an interview.
Shocker, right? Shocker. You know, they're proud of their work, right?
But last week,
I'm Dr. Richard Van Damen.
Their lead veterinarian implored the state's veterinary examining board not to suspend his license.
I respectfully ask that you consider doing this so in a collaborative manner and talking with me, veterinarian to veterinarian.
And in December, he told state inspectors Ridgeland Farms is not doing anything wrong.
We're constantly under assault by activists who oppose the nature of the work that we do. But what we do is entirely lawful.
He says, we are constantly under assault by activists. No. The dogs are constantly under assault by you. You've got it backwards.
Ridgeland was founded in 1966. A few years before the U.S. Atomic Energy Commission funded this book.
Isn't this great, this reporting? God damn, so good.
Which explains the #1 reason beagles make great research dogs, their temperament.
They're some of the most, loving and affectionate dogs.
The beagle won't fight back. They're docile, they're small, and they're gentle.
In the 1960s and 70s, government researchers exposed beagles to radiation and injected them with toxic chemicals. In 1975, an undercover journalist in England snapped this photo of beagle puppies forced to inhale cigarette
Look at that.
smoke, sparking a global backlash. But 50 years later, beagles remain popular research subjects.
Someone has to say, this is madness.
Animal rights activist Jeremy Beckham says the Ridgeland.
Jeremy Beckham.
Someone has to say.
Is one of the real experts on animal testing.
This is madness.
Animal rights activist Jeremy Beckham says the.
When I was getting into the movement and stuff, they were saying like, oh, there's this Jeremy who's doing great things. And I was all excited. It was Jeremy Beckham.
Ridgeland case has opened a window into a largely hidden industry.
It's so rare that the world of animal research or the world of breeding animals for animal research has anyone outside of it looking under the hood.
According to the USDA, more than 28,000 animals are housed in laboratories across Wisconsin, and more than 3,600 of them, or 13%, are dogs. Some are at public research institutions like the University of Wisconsin, but most are housed at LabCorp, a private drug development firm in Madison.
Interesting. LabCorp.
Which tells Fox 6 its practices are ethical and lead to medical advances.
Ethical and lead to medical advances. Yeah. Okay.
These therapies that come out of this research not only go on to benefit the dogs themselves, but also humans.
Oh. They benefit the dogs. Y'all saw. What do you think? Were the dogs being benefited inside Ridgeland Farms? We haven't even seen inside there.
Its practices are ethical and lead to medical advances.
These therapies that come out of this research not only go on to
like soulless. So imagine your job being to go on there and argue in favor of what we just saw. Naomi Charlembakis.
to benefit the dogs themselves, but also humans.
Naomi Charlembakis is with Americans for Medical Progress, and she says insulin was first discovered through research on dogs.
It really helps researchers understand how a disease operates, or, how basic biological processes work.
But longtime critics are finding unexpected allies.
These are God's creatures, and they're beautiful.
In Washington,
we reacted to this. Remember this hearing? Some of y'all were here. This incredible hearing. That's Nancy Mace right there. A hardcore MAGA supporting, Trump supporting Republican.
Critics are finding unexpected allies.
These are God's creatures, and they're beautiful.
And arguing from like a Christian perspective, these are God's creatures, she says. And I think she even said during the hearing, God would not want us to destroy his creations or something like that.
Beautiful.
In Washington,
over $20 billion a year
White coat waste
of taxpayers' money is still wasted annually on ineffective and inhumane tests on tens of millions of puppies, kittens, and other animals.
Justin Goodman is senior vice president of the White Coat Waste Project, founded by a right-wing political consultant.
Animals don't care who you vote for. They just want to stop being tortured in laboratories.
In 2021, the organization tied overseas
100.
experiments that exposed beagles to bites from diseased sandflies to funding from the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Led at the time by Dr. Anthony Fauci.
It's disgusting that we're being forced to pay for it.
And that has fiscal conservatives teaming up with liberal activists to cut funding for animal research.
Especially with the advent of DOGE and the new administration coming in and looking for ways to cut. Slashing spending that hurts puppies and kittens is something that can unite everyone.
Increasingly, the fight against animal cruelty is a bipartisan fight.
I think there's a lot of common ground.
This is true. It is starting to get that way. It is really starting to turn, I think, where you have a lot of conservatives talking like animal activists.
On both sides of the aisle.
Sure.
Van Artsen is not just a beagle lover. She is also a scientist at the University of Wisconsin. And while she does not speak for the university, she is co-founder of the Marty Project, which advocates for alternative research methods like using microchips that mimic human organs instead of animals.
I think researchers will be the first to say that there are limitations with using animal models. And so if we can move towards more human relevant methods, I think that's just a win-win for everybody.
But change, she says, takes time. For now, she's focused on trying to free a few thousand floppy-eared inmates.
I see my Maggie. I see, that could have been her.
Who've never seen a tree, much less climbed one.
That's amazing.
Last week, a state veterinary board investigator called for the immediate suspension of Dr. Rich Van Dommelen's license. They say he delegated surgical procedures like eyelid removal and tooth extraction to non-veterinarians who did not use anything for pain relief. However, the board voted not to suspend him for now on the condition that all surgeries at Ridgeland are performed only by licensed vets using local and general anesthesia. Meanwhile, La Crosse County DA Tim Grinke has been appointed as special prosecutor to investigate possible criminal charges against Ridgeland Farms. Now, we know you may have questions.
So yeah, they brought charges against activists, dropped the charges, and now they're facing potential criminal charges. Interesting.
If you have your smartphone handy, grab it, open up the camera, and point it at that code on your screen. Then click the link. That's going to take you right to an online form where you can ask me a question about this investigation.
This was like so well done. Such a great story. Really got to the heart of it. And this is an example. Oh, wait, sorry. Dang, I just lost the hang on, I was just going to link to this and I pasted instead of copied. So now I don't have the right thing. Let me back up. This is amateur hour right now. Here's what we'll do. We'll play the Julie story and then we'll go back. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, what I was going to say, well, let's watch the Julie story next. But I want y'all to go to these stories and like them, comment, share, because the reason why they're going to do a follow-up is because so many people did that. So go on all your social media, go to Fox 6 News Milwaukee, go to all the others, look up Ridgeland Farms Fox, share the hell out of this stuff, comment. Like, the news media is looking for things. So if you're on Blue Sky, do it on Blue Sky. They've got it shared on Blue Sky. If you run with Elon and you're on Twitter still, then do it there. You know, I'm not on that shit, but you guys do what you do. Facebook, Instagram, they put it on Instagram, Fox 6 Milwaukee. So anyway, all right. Here is the Julie story. Let's learn about Julie. Yeah, exactly. We need more like that.
Julie, it's Uncle Wayne.
Anytime Wayne Shung pays a visit,
Hi. Hi. Hi.
Julie does this.
I know.
See?
I know. I'm excited to see you too.
I've
Look
never
at that.
seen anything like it. She doesn't even do that for me.
Her owner, Diana Navon, takes no offense.
Uncle Wayne loves you too.
See the spinning?
After all, he is the reason Julie's here
Constant.
and not
Constant.
here.
Or I'm talking over.
Here.
It's
No offense.
constant.
I've never seen anything like it. She doesn't even do that for me.
Her owner, Diana Navon, takes no offense.
Uncle Wayne loves you too.
After all, he is the reason Julie's here and not here. In April of 2017, Shung and a team of animal rights activists got inside Ridgeland Farms, a commercial dog breeding facility west of Madison. Amidst the deafening sound of 3,000 desperate barks,
But this poor puppy has never lived outside this cage.
Shung was drawn to a single cage with a puppy who wouldn't stop spinning.
She's going around and around in circles because she has nothing to do all day.
Moments later,
We grabbed her, and alarms went off throughout the facility.
I mean, and the fact that she still spins shows that it was like it's neurological. Like it's something really troubling. You know, it's bad. It's really bad.
they made a run for it.
We dashed out the back.
And common. They all doing that.
It was a very intense moment.
Their mission was to draw attention to the breeding of beagles for scientific research. But for Julie,
She was nervous and scared of everything. She was super, super thin.
it was a new lease on life.
I know, it's very confusing. You have solid ground underneath you.
They soon found Julie was blind,
Come on, you can do it. You can do it.
but that didn't stop her from learning to climb stairs,
Good girl. Good girl.
Julie.
Good girl.
even grab toys right out of the air.
She's got love. She's got curiosity.
Today, Navon and her husband shower Julie with head pats and tummy rubs and soft, fluffy beds.
When she was in Ridgeland, all she had was wire to lie on, and usually poop encrusted wire.
But the scars are still there, literally. At Ridgeland, Julie had no name, just a serial number.
They're not individuals. They're just objects.
It's the thousands of other would-be Julies that inspired Navon to launch the Better Science campaign, which advocates for advancements in biomedical research so animal testing can become a thing of the past. In biomedical research,
Better Science campaign.
so animal testing can become a thing of the past.
You don't need to use animals to do really good science.
For now, she's intent on giving Julie a quiet home
Are you happy to see me? I'm happy to see you too.
with occasional visits from her favorite uncle.
She's leading a pretty good life. You know, her needs are being met. And I wish that for all the dogs from Ridgeland.
Meet the new standard in sleep. This is Pod 4 Ultra.
Yeah, Wayne's really good with dogs. Julie loves Wayne. All right, here's the link to that. Please go give it some view time, give it some hearts, likes on YouTube. And hang on. The other one was down here as well. Let's make sure that we share
Is it
that.
animal?
This one is the really well done piece. So yeah, just great work. And then, like I said, they're going to put out something on Sunday, a follow-up. Oh, they're with the glitch. We got through a lot before we got this glitch. Not bad, not bad. Okay. That's not all, guys. There's more. So 2 days ago? Yeah, 2 days ago, this happened in the Washington Post. This is no way to treat humans' best friend. Dogs have been bred for centuries to be our companions. We should not use them for painful experiments. By Mark Beckhoff and Jane Goodall. Jane Goodall. In the Washington Post. Let's read through it. Mark Beckhoff is Professor Emeritus of Ecology and Evolutionary Biology at the University of Colorado at Boulder and author of Dogs Demystified, an A to Z Guide to All Things Canine. Jane Goodall, an ethologist and conservationist, is the founder of the Jane Goodall Institute and a legend. So let me just go ahead and link to this. And I understand that some people will be unable to read it because of a paywall. Let's see. Whoa, that's a long link. Holy crap. I think this is the GIF link. Doesn't seem to go through. Hang on. Back up. Yeah, this might be hard to link to this, but you guys can search for it. And if you're on like DXC's email list, they shared it out. All right. Every year, more than 40,000 dogs, mostly beagles, are used in research in the United States. They're often used in painful and deadly tests, and laws to protect them are minimal. We should end this betrayal of man's best friend. Right on. It's important to understand what dogs can go through even before they reach a lab. On January 9th, a judge in Dane County, Wisconsin, ordered the appointment of a special prosecutor to investigate allegations of criminal animal cruelty at Ridgeland Farms, which sits just outside of Madison. Ridgeland is one of only 2 large U.S. purpose breeders of beagles for experimentation. Ridgeland has been in business since 1966. You know, come to think of it, I'm not really sure I'm allowed to share this out since this is paywalled. So it also won't make for great YouTube to just read through this. But I just want to point out that this happened so that y'all can also go and share this out and try to make this, you know, seen by more people. Jane Goodall, you know, that's a big deal. So very cool that that happened. All right. So like I said, you know, Ridgeland Farms is basically one of 2 big beagle breeders left for research. The other being Marshall Bioresources in New York. Okay, it's going to be difficult now that I got the glitch. Okay, Knight Rider, thank you for being here. Sorry to make you cry, but it is a great story. And it's a really good example of great work by the media. Because I've been quite critical, rightly so, of the media lately. And this is an example where they stepped up. They really stepped up. All right, let's check out Joey's video. So here's another example. I mean, just, oh, and by the way, the people, you know, everybody involved with putting that story together, all the people who pushed for it, the reporter, the people who did the interviews, just like outstanding work, outstanding work. That is not easy to get one, like someone to care enough to report that thoroughly, and then to follow up and do all the things post, you know, to share it out. Because a lot of times things just get put out there and then nobody shares it. So nobody saw it. It's like it didn't happen. And this was not one of those cases.
Everyone, welcome to another video. So I'm making this video to bring to light something that's actually quite concerning in regards to our latest halal slaughterhouse investigation that we conducted in Old Arley after a tip-off from Carolyn McKay. The reason I'm making this video is to create a bit of awareness about the topic of enforcement agencies appearing like they are not going to act based on statements they make. Now, just from the outset, I'll just tell you straight up right now, I'm not an animal welfare activist. I'm an animal rights activist. I don't believe we should be killing sentient beings at all or exploiting them for our own needs at all. So let's just get that out the way. I also believe that people should live a vegan lifestyle where they do not fund industries that exploit, violate the right to life of, or treat animals in a horrible way. It's all encompassing, right? That's my belief. So just so you get my bias out the way, putting that aside for the moment, right? Let's just focus on the animal welfare laws in this country. Whether you eat meat or you're a vegan or a full-fledged animal rights activist, the animal welfare laws. Now, whether I agree with them or not, because I believe welfare should not include shooting animals in the head, however humanely, because that doesn't really mean welfare to me, like it wouldn't mean human welfare. But let's just analyze the laws. Now, one of the laws is you cannot cause unnecessary suffering. Your actions or failure to act should not cause unnecessary suffering. And the unnecessary element of the suffering is interesting too. So what we have here is a very thorough investigation of a halal slaughterhouse, a non-stun halal slaughterhouse, based on a tip-off from Carolyn McKay. And we submitted this to the media first, okay, because I know for a fact that if you don't get public accountability, sometimes these things can be swept under the rug, and we've seen it multiple times. And I believe there is data on this. I'll put it up on the screen now, and it's a very low percentage of animal welfare breach.
2.3%. Remember in his video, there was a guy that said, well, if they were doing something wrong, they'd be shut down, right? Remember that? 2.3%.
Breaches are actually prosecuted.
I'm actually surprised.
You can see why.
I'm surprised it's that high, honestly. That sounds like a high number to me. 2.3%.
My interviews, I'm talking about they don't enforce. The laws are there, they don't enforce them. Whether or not this is halal or not, or if it's kosher, or if it's a British slaughterhouse, does not matter to me, okay? If you are torturing animals, I will expose you, and I will fight my hardest to have there be accountability, right? So I don't care, I don't discriminate when it comes to animal cruelty, abuse, or violating the right.
Hang on, let's take a look at Felix's link here. This is an old story, but another example of major press coverage due to an investigation by Last Chance for Animals. Let me take a look at that. Let's share this for a second. What goes on inside Montreal Animal Research Lab. Let's watch this.
CTV's W5. Caged.
Oh, just trigger warning. Yeah, this could have some upsetting footage, probably.
Trapped down.
The dogs howling, crying all day long.
Helpless and injected for experimentation.
It was hell.
It may be perfectly legal.
People understand the importance of medical testing.
But does the science justify the treatment?
That's business as usual.
Kevin Newman with a W5 undercover investigation.
So they live their entire lives in a cage. Yes, correct.
Into the hidden world of lab animals.
You learn.
And by the way, guys, like there just seems to be an opening right now that animal testing is just not accepted. It is just less and less and less popular. And it's getting harder and harder and harder for these people to defend it.
Learn very quickly not to make eye contact.
The principles behind the testing.
The ethical use of animals in science is morally justified.
And the short, painful lives of its victims.
Somebody has to stand up for them.
And the gloves come off. The fists fly.
It makes the highlight reels.
But what once riled up the crowd could end a career.
Do you hold?
This is what Felix really wanted us to see, was the hockey. Because us Americans and UK folk, we don't know about this hockey.
Anyone responsible. Rule changes.
Darren Dreger with a joint W5 TSN investigation into hockey's changing view on fighting.
I'm so glad they did the dog fighting, but I mean, sorry, the Beagle breeding, but now they're doing the hockey fighting investigation. Like, just that's the example of like where a lot of news resources go to just something silly like that. Like, what?
You can't do it responsible.
The fists fly.
It makes the highlight reels.
But what once riled up the crowd could end a career.
Do you hold anyone responsible?
Like,
Rule changes.
Darren
like they're investigating this like this is something that people should care about.
Dreger with a joint W5 TSN investigation into hockey's changing view on fighting.
investigation into hockey's changing view on fighting. Yeah. Okay.
You can't do it on the street. You can't do it in a bar.
I shouldn't be criticizing while we're watching what is actually a great report.
A different kind of player.
You don't need a guy to go out there and beat a guy's face in.
Hello, and thanks for joining us. Tonight, we're going to take you inside a place where new drugs, household products, and cosmetics are tested to
Now, this is an investigation. This is what you should report on.
ensure they're safe for you to use. It's also a place cameras are usually shut out from because, we should warn you, it's not a pretty sight. Every year, millions of animals endure discomfort and suffering in the testing, and tens of thousands of them are higher intelligent beings like dogs and monkeys. As this W5 investigation reveals, sometimes the line between abuse and the ethical treatment and care of lab animals isn't always clear. This is a 6-month-old Beagle. He's a friendly but timid little guy who loves affection. He's called 4505. His name is a number. He and these other puppies are born to be numbers, bred for experiments in testing facilities for drugs and other chemicals in labs like this one in Montreal.
I'm trying to put y'all's comments up on the screen, but it's kind of difficult. But yeah, Marshall Bioresources is international. They have a site in Huntington in the UK. There was a protest on the 26th of April. If you're in the UK, go protest. Felix, this is a nationwide program similar to 60 Minutes. We've protested the lab regularly ever since, but unfortunately without much success. James Aspey and that vegan couple have participated in protests at ITR Labs. Nice.
Their lives are brief and with more than their share of misery.
Did you ever make an animal sick?
Every day.
How did you?
Wait, but guys, what the hell? I don't get it. Because the lady in the last story said that it was beneficial to the dogs, remember? I'm so confused. Who's telling the truth? Guys, this is...
Put that together in your mind.
Their share of misery.
It's so hard to figure out the truth anymore, isn't it?
Did you ever make an animal sick?
Every day.
How did you put that together in your mind?
It was hell.
The person who shot this undercover video worked here as a lab technician for 4 months, earning barely $14 an hour. What the lab did not know was that she was also an investigator for an animal rights group, Last Chance for Animals. W5 agreed to conceal her identity. We're calling her Stephanie.
The noise was what got me mostly. The dogs howling, crying all day long. Up and down the halls you'd go and that's all you would hear. It was just the dogs howling and crying.
The lab is called ITR Laboratories Canada. And while Stephanie worked there, she documented the daily routines of not only beagles, but highly intelligent pigs and macaque monkeys. Most of what went on was completely legal, but it's...
Yeah, this is what they do everywhere. Sorry, getting your... Just checking comments. Having some issues now with my screen.
It's difficult to watch. To our knowledge, no one has filmed these kinds of procedures inside a Canadian testing lab.
And this should have been the end of it. This report should have ended it. This should have gone mega viral and it should have been done. Should have been done
before. Screaming pigs with blistered backs are swabbed with chemicals. Monkeys are suspended in restraints while being intubated. And dogs are forced to ingest chemicals until they're sick.
This dog has had surgery. There's a catheter implanted, and that catheter will remain in the dog for 9 months.
So they live their entire lives in a cage?
Yes, correct. And you can see the dog is being lifted by the tether.
They're being lifted by the, and thrown in?
Yeah.
Is that typical?
With some of the technicians, yes.
The video shows dogs repeatedly thrown into cages, and their treatment often seems to violate industry guidelines, which state that only the minimal amount of force necessary should be employed.
Look at
The
that.
treatment often seems to violate industry guidelines, which state that only...
Like that was necessary, right? This poor dog. So sweet. Again, docile, forgiving.
The minimal amount of force necessary should be employed.
That's why you just... Takes a lot to put yourself in the line of ugly.
This is their lives. This is what they're going to experience from beginning to end. And if I can expose that and share a bit of what they're going through, then I feel like I'm making a difference.
You sleep better that way.
I don't sleep very well at all.
How many dogs were there?
Hundreds.
Hundreds?
Hundreds.
What about monkeys, primates?
Probably close to 200, if not more. These eyes are looking back at you, and
look at them too.
Sorry.
It's hard.
You learn very quickly not to make eye contact, because that's what got me.
What you're about to see is among the most disturbing video. This technician is...
All right, trigger warning. They just said it's going to be the most disturbing video, and we've already seen pretty disturbing video, but anyway.
Training dogs to wear inhalation masks. They're used to pump chemicals into their lungs. Over more than 15 minutes, the tech can be seen hitting the dogs 16 times.
The dog doesn't look to be misbehaving, really.
No, but he's moving, and that's apparently all it takes for this technician to strike him.
Over the same period, the tech also pulls the dog's ears at least 10 times.
I believe that the techs throwing and hitting the animals would be found to be illegal under existing Canadian laws.
Adam Wilson hired Stephanie for the undercover sting. As the lead investigator for the LA-based Last Chance for Animals, he believed Canadian labs were overdue for public scrutiny.
Obviously, for anybody who hasn't seen this kind of thing before, what you watch is disturbing. But is it abusive?
Well, there are...
Funny question. Like, yeah. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We just, I mean, maybe the timeline was it. We just watched someone smacking dogs.
Certain cases that we documented that I think rise to the level of abuse.
Wilson has submitted the video, which cross-references industry standards and laws, to the Quebec government. The allegations include ITR Labs mistreated animals, housed them in subpar conditions, and prevented them from socializing, exercising, and seeking comfort. Company records that Stephanie obtained suggest ITR's clients include drug companies testing potential new products, but also companies that make cosmetics and health supplements.
What kinds of tests put you over the edge?
I think it was most likely the dermal studies that were done on pigs. Those were very difficult to watch.
They were testing pig skin for how it reacted to things.
Yeah.
Pigs feel a lot.
Yep. They respond a lot. They're very vocal.
This pig's back is obviously red and blistered, the apparent result of substances being applied to it. Industry guidelines suggest these procedures should be conducted in a separate room, away from the other pigs, so they can't hear the cries of pain and distress. Clearly, that does not happen here.
And, you know, like watching this, like it just makes me think of how a lot of these people doing outreach come across people when they're saying like, we're the, you know, we're the apex, you know, we're just so much better than animals. And look what we do. Like, we're great. Humanity. Oh my God. This is the worst of humanity.
Holding pigs down and lying across their backs.
Humans are capable of great things, but God, we are capable of some of the most evil, heinous things.
And squeezing their mouths shut simply to get the pigs to quiet down, again, is abusive behavior.
How much do you think Canadians know about this kind of thing?
I don't think they're aware that it even happens.
To get a better idea of what Canadians think about scientific testing on animals, W5 hired a staffing company to assemble a cross-section of Canadians from diverse backgrounds, jobs, and political stripes. Some of them are pet owners, some are not. What we're going to show you today is some undercover video that we've obtained from an animal rights organization from inside a Canadian lab. And then I'd like to have a conversation with you afterwards.
They're like, oh shit. What did we sign up for? Remember at the like end of films when they say like no animals were harmed in the making of this film? And they should put at the end of this one, every animal was harmed in the making of this film.
So you're among the first Canadian outsiders to be shown something like that. How many of you were surprised by what you've just seen? What were you thinking as you watched that?
I just love dogs, and just to see that, it breaks my heart. Like, it makes me want to kill these people. Like, I'm sorry, but they deserve to go through the same or even worse.
That was bad. The abuse. I'd like to see that guy try that on a Rottweiler or a pit bull.
When you heard about animal testing of pharmaceuticals, of household products, what kind of animals did you assume were being tested?
Rats,
mice, rabbits.
Nobody considered dogs.
No.
Yeah.
I thought they banned primate experimentation.
What if new drugs at certain levels kill humans?
It's interesting too, because like kind of the it's showing that it's been well hidden, but also kind of the speciesism, you know, like almost implying like it would be okay to do this to rats.
Is it still acceptable to test them on animals?
If they're looking for a cancer cure, then I can probably say yes. Maybe there should be some necessary sacrifice by animals if they're treated properly. But
Wow.
cosmetics and household products,
Some necessary
I can test it
sacrifice.
on myself.
A sacrifice is something that you choose, you know, like when you give up something, that's like a sacrifice. The animals didn't choose that. They're not making a sacrifice, they're being violated. So check yourself.
I don't approve. First of all, I don't approve that, but if it's necessary, maybe find a better way.
Are you prepared to deny the march of science to possibly cure a disease to protect these animals?
We are the most diverse and adaptive species on the planet. If we can create all we have created up to this point, then scientists can find a way.
If they were told that January 1st, 2019, you stop unless you've got safer ways of doing it, I suspect they'd come up with some breakthroughs.
I love animals and I love science, but something that I also really love is that I love people.
Michael Brunt is
Oh
a
boy,
dog.
here we go. That poor dog. Oh, that poor dog.
lover, but he's also a master lab technician at the University of Guelph. B-Dog is the second lab dog that he's adopted. Brunt sits on several national and international boards that encourage the ethical treatment of animals in science. And he says, if you think we can do without animal testing, you'd be wrong.
Oh,
There are some things that just cannot be answered without a living system. And that is where the animals play a crucial role.
how about we test on you? How would that would be a lot more, you know, relevant to humans, wouldn't it? How about you volunteer? How about you make your sacrifice?
In being able to answer those questions.
How often is there a relationship between animal system and human system?
We share such very significant genetics and very similar systems in ourselves, like organ systems and things along those lines. And the medications that are utilized, that are developed using animal research, are not just used with people, but also with your pets as well.
Brunt says most Canadians tolerate some animal suffering. A 2013 study by the Canadian Council on Animal Care suggests that 60% of Canadians think it's at least somewhat acceptable for animals to potentially suffer for safety testing of medicine. What does that tell you?
It tells me that people understand the importance of the medical testing and the use of animals in science. They can understand that it is important.
Brunt is dead set against animal abuse, but he says if humane practice...
No, he's not. He's virtue signaling to you that he's against it.
Practices are followed, animal testing means better lives for humans, and he's seen it in action.
Well, these are all animals that are part of our family.
His wife lived her entire life with cystic fibrosis, and though she died 2 years ago, he says medical advances gave her a better life.
Medical advances that didn't need to be tested on animals. You understand? Didn't need to be.
Whenever I think of Allison and our life over the years, I think of every year, every couple of years,
I think of all the animals that are dying because of people like you. That's what I think of. That's what I'm thinking of.
6 months, all of these different intervals where new treatments, new therapies were being released, were being integrated into our lives, increasing the quality of our life.
Experimentation on animals.
Boy, the animal experimentation industry sure thought they had a winner with that guy, didn't they? Oh, you can go, you talk about your wife.
Animals is morally justified.
The ethical use of animals in science, I believe, is morally justified, yes.
Revealing the brief, unseen lives of lab animals.
Well, I wonder if it would be justified for him to be in a lab. I mean, I wonder what he would think about that.
Animals.
It's a joke.
And the system that claims to care.
These individuals are very dedicated.
When W5...
That was fantastic. Great story. Great story. Good find there, Felix. We test on them because they are like us, but we can test on them because they are not like us. Well said, Felix. Let me put that up. Wait, can I? Do I have the ability? Damn it. I like that. That was a great quote. Man, this has been a grim stream. Thanks for bearing with. I think we'll finish the Joey one too. The Joey vid. All right. Wow. We're learning. We're learning some things, aren't we?
Rights of animals. The Independent submitted their the footage to the FSA to get their response. So they are the Food Standards Agency. They do other things amongst just policing slaughterhouses, and they are responsible for the CCTV cameras that are running, and it's essentially their job to enforce the laws inside slaughterhouses. Okay, so that's who the FSA are. When the Independent served our footage to the FSA, they said to the Independent, "We're taking this issue very seriously. We have already taken immediate action to suspend several individuals from handling live animals and have been..."
They always try to pin it on an individual so that they don't have to deal with it. Just some, you know, just throw it on some poor person who obviously did the wrong thing, but the businesses often are not held accountable at all.
Increased on-site presence during all slaughter operations while we look into these allegations further. Seems to me they received the footage and then they suspended people and then they increased an on-site presence. That's how that reads. And then it says, we await any further footage and meanwhile we continue to look into these allegations.
That's that new guy energy.
Oh, he's back. That's the fourth time.
Okay, we will not hesitate to take more action as we have a zero tolerance approach to animal welfare breaches. That's quite interesting, actually. I want you to, that was their initial response, okay? They gave a similar response to me. We reached out to the FSA via my email and we asked the FSA if they would like our footage, like in entirety, you know, all 10 days of it. We went to the FSA communications team. They said, please provide any further footage to us and we'll give it to the team who is continuing to look into these allegations further. Okay, so this must be in a separate team. They asked us to email the footage. I mean, we did a 10-day investigation. There's hundreds of gigabytes here. Now we got back to them saying it's not quite as simple as that, as we have over 1 terabyte of footage for this investigation. Okay, so that's the 5th of March. All right, so now we're the 20th of March. Very interesting. I'll just keep these timelines. We haven't heard back from them. We haven't heard back from the FSA, who are supposed to be conducting the investigations into this, right? Now let's just rewind a bit. On the day of the investigation release, Carolyn got in touch with me and told me that Carolyn had engaged with a MP named Jody Gosling, who was currently on a conference call with the CEO of the FSA. It's hearsay. That's just what Carolyn is telling me. I don't know if it was the CEO of the FSA. But then Carolyn got back to me saying, the FSA has refused to acknowledge your videos as evidence as they are over 90 days old. Devastated. So this was on the day we released the investigation.
Because they're over 90 days old. So statute of limitations on animal abuse runs at 90 days, huh?
And then I got another email from Carolyn saying the FSA has accused you of holding the footage back until Ramadan. Very, very peculiar. Like, why? Well, one, I didn't hold back the footage till Ramadan. It coincidentally fell on Ramadan, the release, because we had to wait for reports, the media, you know, the independent article, and we released it all in unison. This was a very, very big project. I mean, it took us a lot of time. It was very detailed and we had 2 versions and, you know, it just so happened.
Yeah. Yeah. When you have a news article, a news agency trying to coordinate with, you don't have much control over like when these things come out. Like a lot of it's dependent on when the reporters put out their stuff. So yeah. He's right. This would have been quite an operation.
And that it fell on Ramadan. Call it divine intervention. Why would the FSA even say that? I guess what we're getting at here, just speculating, is that because it's over 90 days old, they can't acknowledge it. And it's my fault because I held the footage back until Ramadan. If I did, it wouldn't matter. You see crimes, you're supposed to prosecute them. It wouldn't matter, but I didn't. It's kind of a bit, I don't know, it's a bit, should they be making claims about what my intentions were here?
Yeah, which by the way, I mean, that would have been very smart to release this around Ramadan. Like he said, it's divine intervention. But we do this all the time, where we try to time things to have the maximum impact. Like that's why I'm sure y'all have done this, like where, you know, we talk about turkeys around Thanksgiving and Christmas. Turkeys are often overlooked. You know, it's just smart activism.
I don't know, accusing me of that without any evidence, you know, pretty strong claim. We didn't at all. Now I'll talk a little bit about their 90-day threshold for acknowledging crimes on footage in a sec. Essentially, I asked Carolyn, please send me the information of the person who is making these accusations. She said that the MP relayed them to her. She's taken the information from the FSA as fact and she's very upset about it. The MP wanted to do something about it. I think the MP Jody Gosling spoke in the House of Commons about it. And I said, what department do they work in at the FSA, et cetera? And she said it was the CEO, she thinks. Apparently this woman here, so Katie Patifa.
Jeffrey, you got a debate with Bone Broth Lady tomorrow, 11 a.m. Pacific. So everybody tune in to Jeffrey Phillips. If you're not subbed to Jeffrey Phillips, go ahead and do that. Should be a banger tomorrow. You ready for that? Bone Broth Lady.
Said to Carolyn, it sounds very questionable. There's no legal basis for her claim that footage over 90 days cannot be acted upon. I then said, can you ask the MP to get what the FSA said in writing? Write it down. This was the exact words of a representative from the FSA. So now it's a representative. This come from the office of Jody Gosling. The FSA has said the food business operator is required to have CCTV in all live animal areas and to retain this for 90 days. But due to the period of time since the COVID footage, this is a very key point. But due to the period of time since the covert footage was captured, this is no longer available. So we were unable to review this. Unfortunately, the footage captured covertly is not admissible in legal proceedings and therefore is unable to support a prosecution. What they're saying in the first part of this, slaughterhouses are to retain their CCTV footage for 90 days and they can delete it. True, that's true. But what they're saying later, that they need to review their footage with my covert footage in order to prosecute, is not true at all. I don't see a legal basis for what they're saying. But this is coming from the FSA. This is the Food Standards Agency, the authority in slaughterhouses. Like, this is the government body. And they're telling an MP that because it's over 90 days, they cannot prosecute. So of course, the MP is going to think, oh my God, well, I better just let this go. I don't know. But the MP wasn't very happy about this. I know that. Based on Carolyn's report. So essentially, I just reply back for Carolyn's been fantastic during all this. Essentially, she tipped me off. She's been very, very proactive in this. And so thank you, Carolyn. But Carolyn's getting a little taste of what we have to deal with when we release investigations, right? Now, I said highly questionable. I wouldn't be too quick to take this claim from the FSA at face value, because under the Animal Welfare Act 2006, if you scroll down to section 31, it says...
Joey did some homework.
Footage is admissible up to 3 years from the date of offending. There's a 90...
Joey. 3 years. Oh my goodness.
90-day retention limit for abattoirs CCTV.
So they count on people to just not do their homework and just let things drop. Joey's not that kind of guy. So he did his homework and he found the law where it talked about the statute of limitations. Well,
TV, but I've never, ever heard the claim that covertly filmed footage is inadmissible after 90 days in court. I mean, there might be reasons they can't admit footage. Maybe they can't confirm the date. They can't confirm where the footage was filmed, things like that. But we've got all that. We've got proof of date, proof of location, almost forensic quality proof of date and location. I mean, there's really no way out there. So it's very, very troubling. Now, but they did put their response in writing to the MP. Now, I've no reason to believe this is fabricated. And it is very, very concerning that the FSA have said this, because it contradicts the wording of the Animal Welfare Act 2006, right? And I know for a fact that they can prosecute because, or based on covert footage alone, because many prosecutions have been conducted on covert footage alone. I would be very surprised if there was some kind of loophole for that. I have never heard of it. So maybe that's a question to put to the FSA, why did you say this? A further contradiction of the FSA's claim that they cannot prosecute because the footage is over 90 days old is the fact that the police contacted me, the Rural Crime Unit, and asked me for the footage and asked me if I'll make a witness statement. And I said, you can have the footage, of course. I will assist you in any way that you need. Subsequent to this, the Rural Crime Unit, Warwickshire Police, they made a statement on March 13th. We are aware of the allegations raised in a recent media article regarding an abattoir in Warwickshire. We take such claims very seriously, and we will investigate the matter further. Following our visit on Monday, 3rd of March, we're working with partners including the Home Office and the Food Standards Agency to take appropriate action regarding the issues identified. Since our visit, and in light of the footage shared by The Independent, which we believe was filmed in July 2024, we can confirm that we have recorded a suspected offence of unnecessary suffering to a protected animal under animal welfare legislation. So,
Well, okay, all right. So everybody's doing their job except for that government agency.
The Rural Crime Unit, Warwickshire Police, took a different view to the FSA, even though in their statement they're saying they're working with the FSA. But I believe this has come from the police, different to the FSA saying we can't use the footage, isn't it? So this was March 13th, the police said this, and on March 5th, they told an MP that the footage we collected was inadmissible. An interesting part of that, they say they need to cross-check my footage with their footage, which is now deleted. We captured angles that their CCTV cameras weren't even covering. So there would be no way for them to cross-check the angles that we got. Either way, why are there blind spots all over the slaughterhouse, which is very concerning too. And if they were recording for 90 days what we saw, why wasn't something done sooner? They have an FSA officer on site, right? And 50% of the time we film, so we filmed for 10 days, five days of that 10 days, there was an FSA officer on site. Were they just watching? We filmed them at least once, watching an animal flailing about, still conscious after having their throat cut, after being bolt gunned, still flailing. Very extremely likely sign this animal is conscious, okay, experiencing pain and suffering. Right in front of the FSA officer, they appeared to tick some boxes and leave, okay?
Yep. That's what they do. That's what they do.
Why didn't they go out around the
same thing happens in America, everywhere. This will happen.
Other side, do an eye check themselves, rush to administer emergency stunning procedures because this animal was clearly suffering unnecessarily. And the legislation says your acts or failure to act which causes unnecessary suffering is against the law. So it might not necessarily be your actions that cause the unnecessary suffering, but your failure to act. At no point did we see their FSA officer on the kill floor. The reason that's important is because animals were still flailing about, likely conscious, when they were being hung and dismembered, our report showed. So why was there no FSA officer in there? What were they doing? Just keeping their boots clean in this lairage area?
By the way, it's just extremely, extremely common. It's just very, very common to see that happening. It's not isolated. It's not, oh, this happened and it's like a one-time thing. No, it's happening all day, every day, at all these slaughterhouses. It's happening. And there's always someone like that, just standing around.
Area where the conveyor system is. Another important thing to raise is that the V-type conveyor system, our report...
If there's someone like that. But I have often seen people like that standing around.
Noted that this is an illegal kind of restraint because their heads are flying back, opening up the gash. They're flailing about in pain and running away. This is causing the animals extreme amounts of fear and distress. Killing is always wrong for me, but this is illegal in this country. Okay, this is a different topic. Just asking the question, wouldn't the FSA have had to clear that restrainer? They're the body that is supposed to enforce this owner. Now, the owner was the animal welfare officer. How can the owner that's making the money also be the animal welfare officer? What a conflict of interest. Yeah. He's making money and he's in charge of the animal's welfare. Those two things contradict. You can't have money-making enterprises and look after welfare of animals. Money's going to outweigh the welfare at some point, and we saw that at this place. I'm just asking questions here about why the FSA reported that to. Was it an incompetent spokesperson from the FSA? Was it the CEO of the FSA trying to, I don't know, avoid prosecution? I don't know. I don't actually know, but it's just strange that they would make a statement that contradicts for what I know is the law. Covert footage can be used. A further contradiction of the FSA, which appears to be a contradiction.
And I'm guessing, like, if Joey doesn't know a lot of this stuff, I'm guessing, you can see how diligent he is. He's probably consulting with lawyers on this. So, yeah, I mean, You can see he's looked through the laws and they've gone to all this trouble to get the independent involved and all this stuff. So yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say he's probably spoken with a lawyer about this.
To me,
My name is Cecilia.
Totally
I'm a mom of 2
speculation.
girls,
I have
a
no idea,
psychologist,
but
and I choose to transform my PBC treatment.
is that when the ITV later on did their piece around the 14th or something like this, the FSA made a comment, gave comment to the ITV News, and it said, we initially received some of the covert footage on Thursday, 13th February 2025. Although we'd been told this filming took place from July and August 2024, we had already identified an appropriately enforced animal welfare.
isn't it pathetic? Like, I mean, we are taking this issue seriously. You're doing your fucking job. Like, it's funny that they have to say that. Don't worry, guys. We're taking this seriously. Following a review of this footage, we've already taken action to suspend several individuals from handling live animals while we look. Wait. So I thought the footage wasn't able to be used, but you're saying you've suspended someone? Odd, isn't it?
Welfare failures at this establishment prior to being sent the covert footage. They never actually said that to the Independent. They never said that to me when we asked them to, gave them a right to reply and posted their comment inside of the investigative video that we released. And the Independent never published that comment there because they never gave that comment to the Independent. Otherwise, I'm sure that the Independent would have included that because that's very important information. And why is that only coming to light now? This is a very different story. First, it was we suspended individuals after receiving the footage and have increased on-site presence on the day that they received the footage and gave the comment to the Independent. And then later on, they're saying they already enforced welfare failures at the establishment prior to being sent the covert footage, saying, don't worry about that stuff the footage showed. We'd already cleaned that up. We'd already done our job properly. You know, I forgive my pessimism here, but it's cynicism. But I find that very hard to believe that for, I think, almost a year, don't quote me on that.
Joey, why are you doubting these government agencies? You know they have. Sorry, I'm trying to pause in a good time for them. Why are you worried about it? The government's on it. They know what they're doing, Joey. Come on now.
Did our investigation in July 2024. The FSA were there. In my opinion, they appeared to not.
Felix, quote, it's difficult to get a man to understand something when his salary depends upon his not understanding it. Oh, that's a good one. Upton Sinclair. That's what I'm reading right now. I'm reading The Jungle. Upton Sinclair's The Jungle. Damn, it's grim. It is not putting me in good mood. I am not in a great mood because I'm reading The Jungle and I'm watching videos about animal testing. I'm going to play some Cyberpunk later because I got to escape. Cyberpunk 2077, that game's kicking ass. Love that game. You guys join me. Let's all escape together into a fictional dystopian world.
Take the appropriate action to prevent illegal behavior taking place at that facility and extreme amounts of suffering, okay? Because if they're there for a year, how did they allow that conveyor to be operating in that way? Why wasn't the FSA officer more proactive on the kill floor, considering it's a non-stun slaughterhouse and the animals are more likely to be conscious? Why wasn't more done to prevent these horrific things happening from these workers beating the animals? And why wasn't more done? Now they're saying they improperly they've enforced animal welfare failures at this establishment. Now, where is the evidence of that? That should be like a matter of public interest, that information, what they actually did to enforce animal welfare failures at this establishment, because I actually don't believe it at this point. And they've only just raised it when the ITV decided to do a TV piece, because it's actually kicking off. It's kicking off. And I'll just speculate for a second, because my opinion is that because the FSA officer was in there witnessing what appeared to be some illegal stuff taking place, like especially with the animals still conscious and that right in front of her, and that the restrainers likely illegal and things like that. The CCTV wasn't covering a lot of this horrible stuff, and it was all happening while their cameras were rolling. It could be a little bit of saving face a bit here or something. Or maybe when this does go to trial, maybe the FSA might have, maybe a lot of questions might be put to the FSA, like how can you have let this take place? You know, I mean, because a lot of the public are very outraged about this. Vegan animal rights activist or not, okay, or not. Muslim, meat eater, vegan, everyone is, some are outraged for, I wouldn't say they're outraged for like the right reasons. I would say they're outraged for, you know, other reasons which I don't agree with. But I think like most good faith people are outraged because, and including Muslims in this, because Muslims don't appreciate what's taken place here and that they've been lied to either. Most people are outraged because of the horrific suffering and the illegality that's taken place here, whilst the owner has constantly gaslit everyone into saying that everything is humane and fine and don't worry, I'm really good at this and I've been doing it since I was a kid. Where are the public?
But Joey, he's the safety manager of the place, so why aren't we listening to him? Like he's the guy that's in charge of that. So why so sarcastic, Joey? Why so sarcastic?
Records of their improvements that they've taken place. There should be public record of that. I would like to know. Let me just talk about the 90-day deletion of footage, right? So every slaughterhouse that the FSA operates in has CCTV generally to look at after the animals. I think it's a legal requirement, and a legal requirement too is that they retain the footage for 90 days and then they can delete it. Okay, we've learned that. So let's just say we put the cameras in. We put the cameras in July 2024. We removed them early August, so about 10 days. At the point they received the footage, okay, in February, when they received it from the Independent to make comment, while the Independent was creating their article, they should have gone in and seized whatever 90-day period the slaughterhouse still had on file, because the slaughterhouse wouldn't have.
Yep, but that would have required them to give a shit, and we know that that is not the case.
Deleted it before the FSA reached out to them. So basically, when I started filming, it was in somewhere within this 90-day period. So maybe I started filming in July 2024 and they have a month before that and 2 months after that, and that would be the 90-day period, and we're 10 days in there. Okay, and then they've deleted that, and then there's another 90-day period from there. Okay, and then up until February, there's another 90-day period here. So there might have been 8 weeks worth of footage that the FSA should have taken, seized the footage. Okay, so there might have been 8 weeks, 6 weeks, there could have been 12 weeks, there could have been whatever that was left that the footage that the slaughterhouse hadn't yet deleted, taken that, and all of that illegal behavior, okay, animals still conscious, escaping the restrainer, should all be on that footage. So have the FSA seize that footage, because they haven't made public comment about that yet.
YouTube Premium is ad-free YouTube and video downloads. So you
Yeah.
Okay. And that would be something that I would be very interested to know if they've got that footage, if they seized it, and if they are using it in an investigation, because that would be additional footage and newer footage, because what we filmed in a 10-day period was taking place all the time there. Now, we have hundreds of, I think about 100 hours of footage, a terabyte. Okay. What we released was a very small amount. What Jenny Mace saw was 1 hour, 46-minute sample. And if you look at our logs, I think there's over 40, 50 pages of logging of incidences. So you can see how much more illegal behavior was taking place. And that at any point in time, if the FSA actually looked at that footage for long enough, they would have seen it. They would have seen it. So why was it nothing done? Were they reviewing the footage? And
well, surely after your investigation, you know, but before it came to light and before the slaughterhouse even knew, surely their practices got better. I mean, you know, you say you've got 40 to 50 pages of incidents logged, incidents of note, I'm sure. But yeah, surely when I bet you they did look at it and they found, oh, in this slaughterhouse, they're like rubbing, scratching the lamb's ears, you know, the sheep's ears and stuff. Yeah. Probably, because they went in there and it was like a Disney movie. What are you complaining about, Joey? Just 10 bad days. Come on, Joey. It's just 10 bad days.
If you honestly, once this investigation, once this prosecution is done, I should just release all of this footage as a matter of public interest, so you can see the amount of horror that was taking place at this slaughterhouse. Anyone in their right mind could review it and see, especially an enforcement agency and governing body like the FSA. I want to say this, okay? We have other offences filmed on camera with other enforcement bodies not taking action and telling us they're not going to take action for reasons that I don't actually understand and that don't have a real legal basis. One of these agencies is Trading Standards. In relationship to footage we filmed of a RSPCA assured dairy farmer smashing cows in the spine with a metal rake on an RSPCA assured farm. Shocking footage, right? He was stabbing them also with a sharp implement, swearing at him. I don't know if you remember this. We released it not too long ago. And they won't take action on this. I'll read out her exact reason for it. And this is only one of many, okay? We've started to actually, we don't have enough resources to hold these people consistently accountable all the time but we would like to hold them accountable. But I'm just going to give you another example of what I believe is completely unjustifiable reasons to not prosecute a man who's clearly caused unnecessary suffering to a protected animal. Whether their protections are good enough, different story, but they're at least protected from being hit in the spine with a rake. Now, she told me, and I'm not mentioning their name just now, but just know that this is a senior trading standards officer of the West Sussex County Council, and they're in the same building as RSPCA Assured, who happen to assure the same farm, which is in the same county, in the RSPCA building, which I protest in. And they've said, our service was aware of the video footage that was circulating last year, and I, along with my colleague, carried out a visit with the Animal Plant Health Agency, APHA, to the farm in question. In order for us to pursue any offences, we have to prove beyond reasonable doubt that an act of his or failure to act causes an animal to suffer. To help us do this, we require a statement from a vet. Fine, yes, of course, expert statements are necessary in prosecutions. But this statement from the vet needs to confirm that injury or suffering was caused to the animal in question. It is normal practice, therefore, that the vet would have to see the animal and carry out an examination of the animal to see if any injury was caused at the time of the incident. That part I've never heard of. If someone smashes an animal with a rake in the spine, you don't need to see the animal to know that that's caused them suffering. Any expert will be able to say, yeah, that there, you literally hitting them with a metal rake in the spine is going to cause the animal suffering. You can see the animal in distress here and you can hear the impact, and you don't need to see the animal. What if the animal...
Isn't it like crazy? Like the I don't know what the word is. What's the word I'm looking for? I'll just go with absurdity. Like that would happen where, like an expert witness would be questioned and they would say something like, did you look at that animal yourself, or did you just see this on video? So you weren't able to examine the animal yourself. Oh, okay. Well, clearly then this is not an expert's testimony then, right? Our world is so stupid. It is so stupid. And like in a way that's a bad thing. In another way, that's our superpower, because just having like a tiny amount of intelligence and not being deterred, like they hoped that Joey would just go away and said, we have the 90-day thing, whatever. They thought, oh, he'll be, he doesn't have time for this. He has time for this. Joey's on it. He's on it. So, yeah, but just, finding out that like so many of these processes are really quite dumb should give you a little confidence, right? On the other hand, stupid prevails sometimes, as recent history and all of history suggests.
Was at the slaughterhouse chopped up in a million pieces, and then you're not going to act based on footage? That there is a burden of proof that can't be met, generally. Like, what, they're going to go down to the dairy farm with 600 cows and go, which one was it? We need to see we need to take their temperature. It's like a load of nonsense, never heard of it, very, very peculiar. They said, this service are not looking to take any further action regarding this matter, blah, 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 blah. Then I'll come back and question her. Now, I've got a bunch of questions for her, but I will do this in another video because this video is getting very long. But I will read out her justifications for not pursuing this prosecution of a very high profile case that was all over the media, and they've chosen not to prosecute. Very, very, very peculiar and very strange, and raises very, very important questions about the efficacy of these enforcement agencies and whether they're actually enforcing the laws, which comes back to the FSA statement saying that they can't prosecute with footage over 90 days, which contradicts the 3-year limit of the law. I do think that there will be many more violations of the Animal Welfare Act 2006 and the WATOC guidelines, the Welfare at the Time of Killing 2015, in the footage that we are submitting.
But again, Joey, it's okay. You're overreacting, because I've heard that the UK has some of the highest welfare standards in the world, so it's fine. I don't know why you're so worked up about this, Joey.
That's my suspicion, because there's so much more footage. It just seems to me very peculiar that the FSA were mentioning me holding back footage till Ramadan. It's got nothing to do with it. Even if I did, wouldn't matter. I'm advocating to Muslims, but I didn't. Just so happened, and I would be very honest about that too if I was holding back footage till Ramadan. Just so happened it fell on Ramadan. I would like to just raise this.
Yeah, again, had he done that, it would have been smart. So, yeah, he obviously would have been honest about that.
A little bit of transparency about the FSA giving different stories to different media, to different people.
Well, I should say, depending on, what he was going for. Like, it may have been smart to do it on Ramadan. Or he may have wanted to get it out as soon as he could, which it sounds to be the case, just as soon as he could.
And then ignoring our request to send them footage since March the 5th. No response since March the 5th. And then the police getting in touch with me. Now, is it possible that the FSA contacted the police and said, look, get in touch with Joey Carbstrong to get the footage? Maybe. But I don't actually know if I believe that. I've got no reason to believe that because of their contradictory statements and their unwillingness to act and their statement to the MP. Why did they say that? And I believe the police were notified by Jody after she was declined by the FSA based on this email here where it says, however, Jody is liaising with the police to see what options remain available. What options remain available after the FSA dismissed our covertly filmed footage? I honestly am on.
Right, Felix. Full credit to Joey for his persistence. Indeed. Indeed. Because they just expected him to go away and for it to just be out of their hands.
Of the belief that, of the opinion rather, that the only reason that these agencies get their ass into gear at times, or most of the time, is because of public pressure, which is why we make sure we are very thorough and we release a very big piece so that the public's outraged and that there's accountability to the industry, okay? Because this is a very big issue and it's a systemic issue, and it's not just about this slaughterhouse, and it's not about two-tier policing because it's a halal slaughterhouse. This stuff happens on farms, in other slaughterhouses, like I said.
But not in the UK, right? Not in the UK, where the welfare standards are so high. Doesn't happen. Joey, tell me it doesn't happen in the UK.
Only a small percentage of welfare violations or breaches of animal welfare law in this country are prosecuted. What do you think about the FSA's response to this shocking investigation? What do you think? Do you believe them? What do you think about their contradictory statements? I would like to say that I'm very happy to hear about that people will be held accountable. I think the owner should be held accountable. Arguably, he has a high level of accountability based on what he was telling me on the hidden button camera.
Slaughterhouse, you're saying there's CCTV, and who monitors them? You monitor them? Yes. So if anything's going wrong, that's on you? Yes. Okay, so you're taking on a lot of responsibility there for your workers and for your... So you're the owner, you're the animal welfare officer. But we can get into that in another video too. But this video here was talking about the peculiar reason that FSA at first weren't going to do anything about this. And now, all of a sudden, the police are involved and something is getting done about this. I thought the footage was unusable. Remember, this is just one of many investigations we've conducted. If you go to my Uncovered series, you'll see a lot more. Please watch Pignorant. It's on justwatch.com worldwide. You can also find it on Amazon Prime. You can also find it on Tubi as well for multiple users, but justwatch.com is worldwide, so everyone can watch it there. You'll see non-stun slaughter happening to pigs on a massive scale in the UK, and wide-scale torture happening to pigs in factory farms and free-range farms in the UK. So all the British guys out there saying, oh man, halal's so much more cruel. Well,
Hello, Mark Barden here from Sandy Hook Promise. On December 14th, 2012, my 7-year-old
Non-stun halal slaughter is cruel. So is non-stun pig slaughter in CO2 gas chambers, and so is factory farming in the UK, and so is all farming. But just remember that if you're saying a ban halal slaughter, you're actually saying ban all slaughter, because the majority of halal is actually the animals are stunned. But I don't agree with stunning and chopping animals' heads off. I'm an animal rights activist. I believe everyone should be vegan, and that's the only way you can prevent horrible things from happening to animals. And animals should have fundamental rights protecting them from human exploitation, because we don't need to eat animals. We don't need to. It's not a requirement. You don't need it for your health. You don't need it for survival. You don't need it at all. There's no mandate in Islam that says you must eat animals. I think if animals had fundamental rights protecting them from human exploitation, we all ate a plant-based diet, we didn't participate in animal exploitation, we wouldn't have these mass systemic issues of horrible cruelty and problems with prosecuting animal welfare violations, and we wouldn't have any of this. We wouldn't have any of this torture and this suffering and this blood worldwide. So my plea to you is, whether Muslim or not, British, whatever your faith or nationality or race, religion, please live vegan. It's consistent with your compassion. You know, please give the animals mercy. Don't do this to them anymore. It's not working. The system is flawed. The system is completely broken. And until we learn to respect animals, you know, those who are vulnerable, those who can do nothing for us, how are we ever going to learn to respect each other? Okay. And I've seen it here with this, releasing this investigation, discrimination, racism. It's nothing to do with someone's religion. Okay. This has got nothing to do with that. This has got to do with specific kinds of animal abusers that are systemic across animal agriculture, which is a broken system of animal exploitation, where these egregious issues are happening en masse all the time. Okay? It's got nothing to do with whether or not someone is a Muslim, or whether or not they're from Pakistan, or whether or not they're from Africa, or whether or not they're from fucking Britain. Okay? And I want all human beings to respect each other. Whether or not you agree, respect each other, and respect non-human animals, okay? Respect the animals as well. And when I say respect, I don't mean treat them humanely before you slice their head off or shoot them in the head and then eat their body, okay? That's not respect. Respect each other, respect animals, live vegan. But bare minimum, if you don't agree with all that, help me pressure the government to enforce the animal welfare laws in this country. Because if they were forced to prosecute every animal welfare violation there was, I think the system would collapse anyway. Because honestly, the whole system is criminal. When you look at it, when you actually look at it, you can't have a slaughterhouse without these things taking place. It goes part and parcel with mass slaughter and mass breeding animals. So thank you all. Long video. I think a necessary video though. And
great video, Joey. As usual, he's so good. We are so lucky to have activists like Joey. Post that. That's that video. Hang on. Please show Joey some love. Give him the Jeremy bump. He's going to see 7 new views on his video. He's going to be like, where did that bump come from? He's going to be like, damn, I put that video out like a week ago. It had died. And then suddenly 7 views within a span of minutes, 7 likes. He's going to be like, damn, what happened? The Jeremy bump. That's what happened. All right, guys. I think I'll end the stream there. I am going to play some Cyberpunk 2077 because, damn, this was depressing. We went through the Beagle research. We saw this the Canadian story. Thank you, Felix. We saw Joey's stuff. Great examples of reporting today. Scroll back if you missed it. Fox 6, not Fox News, Fox 6, some local station in Milwaukee, and a great reporter put together that great Ridgeland story. And it was nice to see an example of great reporting for once. Nice to see that example. So make sure you show them some love and thank them for their work and encourage them to keep doing it. And yeah, I'm depressed, guys. So we'll play some Cyberpunk here in like an hour or so. or maybe sooner. I don't know. I should probably eat some food, not just Sea Point edamame wasabi. Come on, wasabi. These are so good. All right. Have I rambled enough? I was pretty quiet during the Joey video. Joey was on a tear, so I just let him speak. That was really great. Oh, how are my views going? Now I'm up to 10. My views are going up now that I was right about to end. Should we watch another? I can't hit double dig right when I was going to end the stream. How does that work? Come on, guys. Did I have anything else pulled up? Double dig keeps me going if I'm at that. Okay. Let's see. What can we watch? You know what? He's got a very common critic in the Cranky Vegan, Joey does. But every now and then, Cranky puts out good videos, I think. I thought this was a good video. Let's check this out. I don't love that he has this bone to pick with Joey. I don't understand it. I do not understand it. Joey's one of our hardest working activists. But Jake is also a great activist and has done a lot for our movement. And he puts out some good videos. And I thought this was one of them. Let's check it out.
Welcome to 3 Minute Thursdays. It's actually a Thursday. Your source of animal rights news and gossip packed into a short, sweet 3 minutes. Everyone's favorite day. It's a Thursday. This one's definitely going to be 3 minutes. You're welcome. What happens when an energy company tries to sue one of the biggest environmental groups out of existence? Well, we're about to find out. Hey, everybody. Lots of things happening at a rapid pace. Episode 179. Let's try to get through all of it. First, I'm putting together the dates for my time in Europe, and if you're interested in hosting like a lecture or a training, a pressure campaign training that goes for about 4 hours, or screening the movie The Animal People, which is a documentary about the Shack campaign, you should get in touch with me. I'll be in Europe around the end
Great film, The Animal People.
of August, beginning of September, and I'm happy to try and make it all work out for whoever wants to host and or organize an event in your area. Quick story out of Mexico City, where they have introduced bloodless bullfighting. This actually is a modified version of an initiative that would have banned bullfighting outright, but it basically means that bulls will no longer be stabbed, speared, sliced, and killed, and all the awful things that happen inside of a bullfighting ring. And then the bull's horns will be protected so they can't stab back, unfortunately. The bullfights are limited to 15 minutes, and then the bull goes back to the ranch or wherever they were living before. I don't know, but it's now forbidden for the bull to die inside or outside the ring. Not
So
sure
what the hell is it then?
exactly what that means. Like, do they just get to live out their lives after bullfighting? I don't know. I mean, I suppose this is a step in the right direction, but it feels like, like when a restaurant offers like a vegan burger, but then they put like dairy mayo and cheese in it. Like, is that really necessary? Can we just do the vegan thing and be over? I don't know. Okay, here's a really important story that you probably aren't familiar with, but could greatly impact you as an activist. And therefore, I think you need to read up on it as much as you can, as soon as you can. And I honestly mean that. So are people familiar with the protests against the Dakota Access Pipeline? You probably have heard of the protest referred to as Standing Rock. Well, this was an attempt to stop the construction of a pipeline that would run from North Dakota to Illinois in the United States, cross beneath the Missouri and Mississippi rivers, and also right next to the Standing Rock Sioux Indian Reservation. There was huge resistance against Energy Transfer, the energy company trying to build it, which resulted in
If my international viewers, were y'all hearing about this? Because this was big news for a while in America. While back. It was a while back, but it was pretty big news.
in every tactic under the sun as part of this massive pressure campaign to stop it. It was wildly inspiring. But that included a protest camp that went on for over a year, where a lot of the campaign spawned from. Hundreds, if not 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people all living in this one area out in North Dakota throughout the year, all different seasons and weather, trying to resist and organize. The response by the corporation and the government and police was over the top, to say the least. The apex of the protests occurred when private security hired by Energy Transfer brought in dogs and water cannons in the dead of winter in North Dakota and released both against the protesters. Peaceful protesters were sprayed with pepper spray and tear gas and water in below freezing temperatures, and dozens of people were attacked by dogs. It was brutal. There have been literal books and documentaries made about this, so I'm not going to go into all the details here, as it would take a long time, and there are people who are way more knowledgeable on this topic and this campaign that you should check out, and you can dive into it there. But needless to say, thousands and thousands of people joined the tribe in resisting energy transfer, including some from Greenpeace. With their global presence and their huge amount of resources, they were able to help support the movement, but they didn't like lead or organize anything. They didn't run this campaign. This was an example of a larger organization trying to support those on the ground. And that included doing things like outreach and training people and attending protests and a lot of speaking up on the issue. They amplified the campaign. The campaign ended up delaying the construction of the pipeline for months, but it unfortunately was built, and currently oil flows through it. But that wasn't enough for energy transfer. In 2017, they filed a wild racketeering lawsuit against Greenpeace that was dismissed in 2019, but they filed an almost identical suit like 9 days later. The claim suggests that Greenpeace incited people to protest, and they used misinformation in the campaign to defame the company and the pipeline. So 2 days.
It's amazing. Like, incited people to protest. Like, protest is part of what it means to be American. Like, it's in our blood, you know, it's the lifeblood of a democracy, right? Being able to protest.
Days ago, after a trial in North Dakota with a jury that had multiple people involved in the fossil fuel industry, and most of the jury had said that they were opposed to the protest, that jury found Greenpeace guilty. And the outcome of that, Greenpeace now owes Energy Transfer $660 million.
$660 million. Right. Yeah.
Of course, there'll be appeals and the fight will continue, but this should be an enormous wake-up call for everyone, regardless of your cause, regardless of how you feel about pipelines, regardless of how you feel about Greenpeace. This needs to be a wake-up call. A corporation just won a $660 million lawsuit against a nonprofit organization because they supported protests and did outreach that the company didn't like. Think of all the animal protests that you may have done, right? Think of how many outreach events you've attended. Think of how many conferences or online panels you've organized or sat in on. Think of your social media posts where you wrote about things like the meat and dairy industry. Do you think those industries would agree with you? Do you think they would be okay with what you're saying? Do you think they would be happy with you going to protests and panels and lectures? Do you think they're happy with your activism? Well, those industries, who are just as powerful as the fossil fuel industry, have just been empowered to follow in the footsteps of energy transfer, to hire undercover agents to infiltrate your events, to scrape all the content off your social media, to manipulate, disrupt, discredit, and eventually neutralize you, your organizations, and communities by just suing you into non-existence. And I don't want this to sound overwhelming and push you into despair and have you give up. That's not the point here. This isn't the first time that this has happened, including in the animal rights movement. And there are examples of activists fighting back and winning, but this is an alarm that many folks, including myself, are trying to ring as loud as we can. We are in a perfect storm of unchecked corporate power, a right-leaning society, and a right-wing borderline fascist government that is quite content with making you shut up. And if we don't play our cards strategically, we could be in some really troubling waters for decades to come. Now is the time to start talking to your communities, your organizations, your fellow activists, and coming up with ways to protect yourself. Prepare for the worst and organize for the best. It's not a time to give up. It's a time to build unity.
Not a time to be scared or anything either. Like, they're pushing back, it's because you're doing something right. If they're pushing back, it's because you're getting under their skin, and we want to get under their skin. So keep that in mind.
To build community, and as I said previously, to build power. And that ultimately is how we're going to win. Okay.
Try the Double Sonic Smasher, now at a half price drink in the app. Live free, eat Sonic. You wanna live free?
Okay, finally.
Money from Sonic to Jake.
If you've been vegan for a while, you may remember the vegan cookbooks that came out before 1999. Or rather, you probably don't remember them because they were pretty boring. Then along came How It All Vegan or Vegan. How It All Vegan, I don't know. This amazing cookbook started out as a photocopied zine, spiral bound at Kinko's in the mid-90s. And in 1999, it was elevated to this amazing cookbook. It was kitschy and it was fun and it had all these easy recipes and it was put out by these two folks that had a definite flair for style, including this one, who is my friend, Sarah. Sarah and their partner, Jerry, and I became friends through the hardcore scene in the Pacific Northwest in the mid-90s. And while Sarah continued to make amazing cookbooks, I ended up going to prison. And while I was in there, Sarah sent me all sorts of cool stuff, like a membership card to the Secret Society of Vegans. And got a signed photo by her friend Jane Wielden from the Go-Go's and sent that into me. I mean, how cool is that? That's amazing. Later on, Sarah battled breast cancer and she won, and that was also amazing. And I'm saying all this because Sarah's a very special person, not just to me, but to a lot of people. And a couple days ago, she posted that she had an aggressive form of cancer and that she likely won't live past April. And to say that I'm heartbroken would be an understatement. I don't always do the best at keeping in touch with my friends, and I'm not going to pester you that you should do the same. But it's a reminder of how finite life is, right? We get wrapped up in the dumbest stuff, right, in life, like arguments on social media and trolls in the comments.
And Jake, do you do that sometimes? I'm just kidding. I love you, Jake. You make some good videos. You do.
Trying to convince some bot that you're right and they're wrong. And then one day you look up from your screen and it's all over and that's it. And I know that I'm guilty of that. But when I think of Sarah and the class and style and love she lives by, I'm happy that she's in the world. But soon she may not be. And there's not much any of us can do about that for any of us. It's that cruel trick life plays on us. But knowing that doesn't really make it any easier. What we can do is support those around her. There's a GoFundMe to donate to in case you have a couple extra bucks and just want to help some good people out. The link is down below. We can also keep our heads up, pay attention to the lives and the world around us, to the tragedies and downfalls that need uplifting, to the happiness and joy and love that exists, but that maybe we tend to overlook, to our friends and family and our community. Don't keep your head down. Don't ignore the beauty and wonder of life. Don't let misanthropy and nihilism drag you down. Take the time to enjoy life and those you share it with. The things that you fight for.
Play Cyberpunk 2077.
Enjoy those things. Find the beauty in them. Embrace it. Embrace all of it. Because at some point, it's all going to be gone.
I like how he ended that. Great video, Jake. That's Jake Conroy, who is the Cranky Vegan on YouTube and makes some great videos. I feel like sometimes we just hear the hard truths from Jake. Here's that video. Go show Cranky Vegan some love. Felix, this lawsuit was discussed by guest Will Potter in this recent episode of the Green and Red podcast. Coincidentally, he has a book on animal agriculture coming out in June. Very nice. Very nice. Thanks for the good link. All right. I think that'll do it. Like I said, I'll go play some Cyberpunk. Good video. And hope you guys have a good night if I don't see you later on. Thanks for joining. Make sure you sub to the channel, like the video, do all those things that they tell you to do. Trying to grow this channel. It's definitely hit a wall in the last month or two. I haven't put out many interviews lately. Going to start putting out more interviews, but my subscriber count has definitely leveled off. So I'm struggling to grow the channel, probably because I'm just gaming on it, which it's understandable. However, would like to grow the channel more so that when we do these reactions, when we feature people, they're actually getting the audience they deserve. They actually get a Jeremy bump that I joke about. Here we go again with the double dig right when I'm about to. Why do you guys do this to me? Why do you do this to me? All right. Yeah. The Jeremy bump is real though. We just want it to be more of a mountain than a hill. A little more of a, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. You guys have a good night, and I'll talk to you later. Thank you.